us in your that you have not given us a spirit of fear, but you have given us power, you have given us love, and you have given us sound minds. Indeed, Lord, we have been facing challenges, circumstances in these times, but we thank you that your presence is always with us. Lord, as we go into this session today, we pray for your leading, we pray for your guidance, and we pray whatever we do or say will be done to your name's honor and glory. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. So remember, everyone, God hath not given us a spirit of fear, but he has given us power, love, and a sound mind. God bless you all.
President Tamara, that was powerful. Thank you so very much for those words of encouragement. And everyone, as we go through the week, please be reminded of them. For God hath not given us a spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of a sound mind. Thank you again, President Tamara. Fellow Toastmasters, distinguished guests, members, and delegates from other divisions and or District 81, and persons who are also visiting from other districts across our Toastmasters community, a pleasant good afternoon. Welcome to Division B's Mentorship and Evaluation Training Workshop this excellent Sunday afternoon. Leadership and learning are indispensable to each other. These are the famous and wise words of John F. Kennedy, the 35th President of the United States. And he is very right. This is why we have training sessions such as these. It's important that we continue to learn and renew our knowledge. We get to learn new skills, techniques, information that can help us perform our duties, not just as officers, but as leaders in this organization and also as leaders outside of Toastmasters. So our Division B leadership team sees it as a great honor and pleasure and privilege to have everyone join us for this training session this afternoon. Up next, we have our Toastmasters Promise. Being a Toastmaster means more than just simply making a commitment to self-development. Everyone who joins a Toastmasters club is making a commitment to our club members, to our Toastmasters organization as a whole. Please join me for 2 minutes as we recommit to our Toastmasters Promise. As a member of Toastmasters International and my club, I promise to attend club meetings regularly, to prepare all of my projects to the best of my ability, basing them on the Toastmasters education program, to prepare for and fulfill meeting assignments, to provide fellow members with helpful, constructive evaluations, to help the club maintain the positive, friendly environment necessary for all members to learn and grow, to serve my club as an officer when called upon to do so, to treat my fellow club members and our guests with respect and courtesy, to bring guests to club meetings so they can see the benefits Toastmasters membership offers, to adhere to the guidelines and rules for all Toastmasters education and recognition programs, to act within Toastmasters core values of integrity, respect, service, and excellence during the conduct of all Toastmasters activities. At this point, I will invite one of our presidents in Division B and member of our tech team, Desroy Reed, from the One Love Communicators Toastmasters Club, to speak more about our housekeeping items. President Desroy, the virtual floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Division Director. Stunning as usual. So we understand that the online space can bring with it some challenges. To make the experience, the virtual experience more smooth, I am here to share with you some housekeeping rules that we have. So the first of which is to remain muted when not speaking to avoid distractions during the presentations. If you do have questions, please use the chat box to post your questions or comments or raise your hand in the participants screen under reactions and wait to be acknowledged. Two, ensure your computer sound or volume control is at an appropriate level so you can hear the presentation clearly. Three, if you share your video, please remain cognizant that your camera is on. 4. Note that this webinar is being recorded. You would have seen earlier a consent uh, button that you would have pressed. So it is recorded for quality evaluation and training purposes. By continuing to be in the meeting, you are consenting and authorizing Toastmasters International or any entity authorized by Toastmasters International, such as Toastmasters Club or District, to copyright, use, and publish any of the images or recording in any format taken during the current Toastmasters program year. You understand that these images may be used for a variety of purposes and may appear on the district website, the Toastmasters website, in the Toastmasters magazine, promotional materials, or any other media now known or to be invented. You also understand that Toastmasters International or any entity authorized by Toastmasters International will use the images exclusively for Toastmasters related purposes and not for any commercial gain. Fifth and final housekeeping rule. In case of an urgent technical request, example, connection problems, please use the chat box to request technical support. Division B thanks you in advance for adhering to these rules and are confident that you will enjoy the session. Over to you, Division Director.
Thank you, President Desroy. Fellow Toastmasters and friends, serving as our moderator for the mentorship session, we have Toastmaster Jesse Harrelin. Toastmaster Jesse joined Toastmasters to become a competent leader and confident speaker, but more importantly, to serve as a trailblazer, helping others to unlock their true potential as developing communicators and growing leaders. She has been living up to this task in so many ways. She currently serves as president of the Turks and Caicos Toastmasters Club, and she was the sponsor of the Grand Turks Toastmasters Club, and also serves as one of this new and exciting club's mentors. On the Pathways track, moderator Jessie has completed her leadership development path, being the first one to do so in her club. She's actively pursuing her motivational strategies path, and you'll be hearing her speech soon to close out this path. I can attest to her positive energy, drive, and leadership. She's excited about this training session and sees it as a pleasure to serve as our moderator. Let us put our hands together for our moderator this afternoon, Jessie Harrelin.
Thank you so much, Madam Division Director, for that lovely introduction. And you guys have heard it. We are about to begin our first training session on mentoring. Like any other experience, mentoring is a very important area for us as Toastmasters. We believe that with an effective mentorship program that allows each and every one of us to personally develop and to also further our educational programs. Right before we get into introducing our first presenter, I would like to call on someone very special to break the ice. This person is none other than Toastmaster Desroy, who is the president of the One Communicators Toastmasters Club, One Love Communicators Toastmasters Club in Jamaica. Toastmaster Desroy, I now welcome you to the virtual floor to break the ice.
Thank you, Toastmaster Jesse. So this afternoon we have an activity for you. We promise that it will be enjoyable. And so for this activity, I will be sharing my screen and you will be participating in an awareness test. So for this test, the instructions are that you will examine how many times the white team passes the basketball.
This is an awareness test. How many passes does the team in white make?
Light up the chat. How many passes did you count?
I counted 13. I see
Awesome.
someone in the chat said 10.
10. There's 10 in the chat as
26,
well.
11,
I see the chat
9,
lighting up.
13, 8. Those were some of the responses,
All
Toastmaster
right,
Desroy.
awesome.
The answer is 13.
13 is correct. But there's
did
more.
you see the moonwalking man?
Did anybody spot the bear? Light up the chat again. It was a big bear. How could you miss it?
Yes, you have quite a number of persons that said yes, they saw the
Awesome.
bear.
Awesome. All right. So the point here is that it's easy to miss something that you are not looking out for. And oftentimes we are challenged in our lives outside of Toastmasters and within Toastmasters to miss things that we are not focusing on. And even the mentoring and evaluation session that we have now, mentors, as we know, assist us in achieving and seeing things that we would have missed even in our own development. And so it is important to take some time out to be aware of your surroundings and also of what is happening in your life. We have another quick test. We have time? Awesome. So we have one more test that we know that your awareness is sharpened. Now you are on the lookout.
Clearly, somebody in this room murdered Lord.
Toastmasters, you are investigators.
Precisely 3:34 this afternoon, was brutally bludgeoned to death with a blunt instrument. I want each of you to tell me your whereabouts at precisely the time that this dastardly deed took place.
I was polishing the brass in the master bedroom.
I was buttering his lordship's scones below stairs, sir.
I was wiping my petunias in the potting shed.
Constable, arrest.
Who should be arrested? Light up the chat. Who did it?
Someone said the lady, another Toastmaster said the butler.
Do we have any more
Another
guesses?
person said the bear.
The bear.
I'm seeing person saying the counselor,
Okay.
the constable.
The constable. Oh.
And another Toastmaster said the Tin Man and the Metal Man.
Okay. All right.
1 second, Toastmaster Desiree. 1 sec.
Go ahead.
We have a few Toastmasters saying the audio was really low, so they couldn't hear.
Oh, the audio from mine was low?
Seeing that we haven't announced the results yet, is it possible just to run it through one more time?
What you could probably do is reshare Toastmaster Desroy and ensure you select to share computer sound.
All right. Let me go. Stop share and then share sound. One quick.
Clearly, somebody in this room murdered Lord Smythe, who, at precisely 3:34 this afternoon, was brutally bludgeoned to death with a blunt instrument. I want each of you to tell me your whereabouts at precisely the time that this dastardly deed took place.
I was polishing the brass in the master bedroom.
I was buttering his lordship's scones below stairs, sir.
I was planting my petunias in the potting shed. Constable, arrest Lady Smythe.
So Lady Smythe did it. So those who guessed Lady Smythe, congratulations. But as usual, there is more.
How did you know? Madam, as any horticulturist will tell you, one does not plant petunias until May is out. Take her away. It's just a matter of observation. The real question is, how observant were you?
So there were 21 changes.
Clearly, somebody in this room murdered Lord Smythe, who, at precisely 3:34 this afternoon, was brutally bludgeoned to death with a blunt instrument. I want each of you to tell me your whereabouts at precisely the time that this dastardly deed took place.
I was polishing the brass in the master bedroom.
I was buttering his lordship's scones below stairs, sir.
But I was planting my petunias in the potting shed.
Constable, arrest Lady Smythe.
So again, it's easy to miss something that you are not looking for. How many changes did you spot? I heard one with the bear and the tin man. At first, I must be honest, I didn't see much of them. But thank you so much, and it was my pleasure. Again, remember, it's just really to be cognizant of the things that are in your blind spots. And mentorship does help with that as well. Thank you so much for participating. Over to you, Division Director Melinda.
Thank you so much, President Desroy. It's over to our moderator, Jesse.
Thank you so much again for that wonderful icebreaker activity. I'm sure that we got everyone warmed up, and I'm sure that persons are now ready to hear everything about the mentorship magic session. But right before we get into that, I want to share this quote with you guys by Bob Proctor. It says, "A mentor is someone who sees more talent and ability within you than you see in yourself and helps to bring it out of you." Fellow Toastmasters and guests, I believe that when it comes to achieving success, it's okay to get help. And here within the Toastmasters family, one of the things that we encourage is supporting one another. And we do this through our mentorship programs. This evening, we have a special presenter who will be taking us through tips in terms of how we can better implement effective mentorship programs that will ultimately lead to our club's success and growth of our members. This person is none other than Distinguished Toastmaster Corin. Distinguished Toastmaster Corin joined Toastmasters to overcome her fear of public speaking. She is someone who is always encouraging others, and while she encourages to embark on new challenges as well. She is passionate about Toastmasters and the benefits that accrue both for the individual and the wider community. Since joining Toastmasters in 2005, she has served in various capacities at club and district level. She served in the role of President, Vice President of Education, Membership, Public Relations, Area Director, Assistant Division Governor, Education and Training, and Division B Governor for 2013 and 2014. She served also as Administration Manager for Division B in 2018. And she is now serving as Division B's Assistant Division Director Program Quality. She is a District 81 certified trainer and has served as a club mentor, club coach, and club sponsor, and is one of the Division B's 2 Pathway Education Program ambassadors. Distinguished Toastmaster Corin attended a conference in Barbados, Conquering Her Fear in May 2017, where she also hosted. She is also an international speaker, and she believes very strongly in building relationships through interclubbing. Prior to COVID-19, she visited most clubs in Jamaica at least one. Fellow Toastmasters and guests, please help me warmly welcome our Triple Crown awardee on multiple occasions, Distinguished Toastmaster Corin, to lead our mentorship session for this afternoon. Toastmaster Corin, the virtual floor is now yours.
Thank you, Madam Moderator. A lot of the magic that is behind success can be unlocked through mentorships. Mentorships are a fundamental part of the success equation. Those words are from Carolyn Gosson. Fellow Toastmasters and guests, I have had a tremendous journey as a Toastmaster. There are people who nurtured and encouraged me along the way with a word of advice or support, a timely reminder, and sometimes a firm word or a metaphorical kick in the pants. Two early Toastmasters mentors were distinguished Toastmasters Norma Rochester and Daphne Gilbert. They had a profound impact on me as a new Toastmaster. As with John C. Crosby, they strongly believed that mentoring is a brain to pick, an ear to listen, and a push in the right direction. Their unstinting support, along with others, have helped to make me the Toastmaster that I am today. In the next few minutes, I'm going to share some of my experience. We're going to have a conversation about mentorship. And I stress conversation. This is not a lecture. I intend it to be quite interactive. And the first thing I want to do is to get 2 or 3 persons to tell me what they are looking for out of this session. What do you hope will be your takeaways? Why are you interested in mentorship? And I'll ask the chat monitor, I'll ask our moderator if you raise your hands so that we can acknowledge you. And I will also tell you, okay, we have hands because I was just going to tell you, I'm not afraid to volunteer you. So Sudan, you first.
Hi, thank you for asking that question. I am looking forward. I look forward to this session because I believe in mentorship. I do see myself one day as a mentor, and so I want to learn more about the do's and the don'ts of mentorship so that I can guide persons when I'm in that position, especially within my club. I want to be the best mentor that I can because I believe that mentorship, especially in Toastmasters, has a lot to do with the end result of a person's journey at Toastmaster.
Wonderful, sounds good. Molly Plummer.
Thank you very much, distinguished Toastmaster Corinne. I'm already in the role as a mentor, and so what I'm looking for are new ways, techniques that can assist me.
Sounds good. Domain, your time.
Thank you, distinguished Toastmaster Corinne. I think I'm in the same boat as Molly here. I'm trying to find out how best I can reach more people. I've been a mentor, but I want to go deeper. I want to do more. That's where I'm coming from.
And that sounds so good. Because no matter how good we think we are, there must be room for improvement. If we're not growing, we're stagnating, we're going to die. What I'm going to do is go through some slides. Deanna, your hand is up. Please share. You're muted. Would you like to put it in the chat and then I'll respond?
Lady Corinne, she did put it in the chat. She said, I look at membership, that ice break. And I'm assuming it is regarding this icebreaker that we had earlier. Is that so, Diana?
Okay, all right. Thanks for your assistance. All right, while we go on, at strategic points, I will ask if you have any questions. If you can either put your comments in the chat or raise a hand and we will stop and have conversation. So let us begin. I hope you're seeing my screen.
Yes.
Yes, we are.
Okay, great. Just waiting for the. Okay. Let's try this again. Oh, because it looks like it decided to freeze. All right. We're there now. So the objectives are for us to understand the benefits of mentorship to the mentor, the protege, and the club. Yes, all those three benefit or should be benefiting. We're going to discuss the Pathways Mentorship Program and learn how to establish a mentorship program in our clubs. And the first question, of course, is what is a mentor? A mentor is someone who takes a personal interest and helps a protege. They should serve as a role model, coach, and confidant. A mentor is someone who offers knowledge, insight, perspective, and wisdom. Now, let me pause here. All of that does not mean that you need to be a distinguished Toastmaster or a way advanced Toastmaster before you become a mentor. If I had waited on that, I would only now be thinking about becoming a mentor. We must remember that we all have things to contribute. And a lot of it, we come to Toastmasters with experience. And that will help us in our role as a mentor. We must want to help someone to become successful. That is key. There is a great difference between a mentor and a coach. And often we use the terms interchangeably, but there is a difference. A mentor is someone who builds a long-term relationship to support an individual. So we're going to see them over time grow and help them to work towards their longer life goals. A coach, on the other hand, is someone who is likely to be with you for a shorter term. It's a task-oriented activity, and a coach will help someone with specific aspects for a designated period of time. Now, your mentor can also coach you in certain aspects of your development. At the same time, the mentor can help you to identify a coach for a particular skill. For instance, suppose you want to learn to do technical speeches. Your mentor might not be that way inclined. The mentor will help you to identify someone, whether in the club or outside the club, who can help you with that particular skill. In Pathways, we have things like blogging now. That might not be my interest as a mentor. That doesn't mean that I'm going to turn you away from that. That's your interest. That's your strength. That's what you came here to build. It is my responsibility as your mentor to help you to be the best blogger that you possibly can. That is helping you to deliver, to develop, and to grow. Who needs a mentor? Please, who do you think needs a mentor?
Everyone.
Everyone.
Everyone. I love that. Michelle Pierre, you raised your hand. Please go ahead. Michelle?
I was also saying everyone, you're never too experienced to learn something from somebody else.
Say it again.
I was saying that you're never too experienced to learn something from someone else in the Toastmasters program. So everyone needs a mentor.
Yes. And I asked you to repeat it because some of us think that we have reached the pinnacle and there's nothing new to learn. But guess what? Like I said, if you are that experienced, that you're perfect, then it means that you're stagnating. And the only way for you to go is down. So we've agreed that everyone needs a mentor. Let's look at why. For new members, it helps them to ease the transition into the club. It's a new environment. Even if you are at the pinnacle or near the pinnacle of your profession, this is a new experience for you. So you are likely to be nervous, to be apprehensive. The mentor should help to guide the new member, to help them to learn the program that they are going to be undertaking, to help to learn the club's standards and customs. Yes, Toastmasters is an international organization. We all, though, have little nuances, just as when you join a new organization, even if it's in your same field, there are going to be differences. There are going to be things specific to the club that you need to learn. That's part of the mentor's responsibility. The mentor should also help to develop the members' confidence, big them up, encourage them, let them feel that no matter how new and nervous they are, they do have a voice, they do have abilities. I remember one Saturday evening, a new member of my club was going to do the invocation for the first time. And sometimes this was while we were face to face. She was quite nervous, although it wasn't apparent. And something just made me start WhatsApping her and encouraging her. When I did that, she said, I felt so bad because I wanted to cancel. I read what I was going to say to a friend, and they told me it was rubbish. So we have to be careful. What are the words that we use? Fortunately, I was able to bolster her, and she did it. And I'm telling you, I'm so glad because I don't know what that person thought. Her delivery wasn't bad for a first-time speaker, and what she had to say had value. So we must remember that if we're going to get our members, especially when they're new, to start speaking and face that audience, we have to start from day one to help them to deliver their confidence. And we just must do it by increments. And that means that as we help for them to develop their confidence, we're going to be able to encourage them to participate more. in small ways. May not be ready for their icebreaker immediately when they come in. Some will, some won't. Get them to do small things. The invocation, the encounter, perhaps table topics. These little things. Now that we're online, a lot of clubs are having different people read the promise. Even that will help to encourage them to participate, to get to the point where they want to take that next step. They may not realize it, but as mentors, we would know that this is how we're helping them to learn speaking skills until they're at the point where they're going to do their icebreaker. For our more experienced members, it's important for us to help them to develop special skills, to help us to refine skills. As I'd mentioned, there will be things that the mentor might not be interested in. There are also things that, even as an experienced Toastmaster, we want to grow and develop. When I was working in the legacy program and I decided that I wanted to do interpretive reading, I went and found myself a mentor because I knew that this was something I was interested in, but I did not think I had the requisite skills. And in the words of Renee Olstead, I'm going to paraphrase: seek out teachers and mentors that challenge you to think for yourself and guide you to find your own voice. I knew that I needed help, so I went and I found someone who could give me the necessary skills. Yes, I've been a Toastmaster for years, but I knew that I needed help with that. And even today, when we are doing certain things, a lot of us, since the advent of COVID and online meetings, we have learned new skills and we've had to be mentored in them. This whole Zoom platform, we didn't just get to it.
Leave that.
By osmosis. We learned.
Carson,
we had
you must
to
learn to
get
listen.
experience. We had to get somebody to teach us. Now, mentorship is not a one-way street. It is a flow. As a mentor, we also learn from our mentees, from our proteges. It is a symbiotic relationship. So one of the main benefits is that we will learn from our proteges. If you're not learning from your protege, you're doing something wrong. As experienced Toastmasters, sometimes we don't want to actively do speeches and pursue projects. Being a mentor helps us to remain productive. In fact, I strongly believe that if you're really going to be an effective mentor, you will find that sooner or later, you're going to need to progress. You're going to have to stop stagnating and work. Be an example. That's how a lot of mentors find themselves continuing their development, continuing their journey. Because instead of sitting back, you have to provide an example. So it helps you to remain productive. It helps you to get that feeling of doing something for others. I don't mean doing them a favor, I mean helping them. And I strongly believe that no knowledge is wasted. We didn't get knowledge in order to keep it to ourselves. The more you share, it's not diminishing what's in your brain, it's spreading it, it's growing. Mentorship must come from a place of love. And just as how when you share love, you're not diminished, you increase, so it is with knowledge. Because when you work with your mentees, work with your proteges, you will find that it gives you this thirst to continue to develop. Mentors also receive recognition and a great sense of fulfillment from their proteges, from their clubs too, even from Toastmasters International. Clubs benefit too from the mentorship relationship. When you have a strong mentorship relationship, it shows in the quality of your meetings. It shows in the quality, the atmosphere that your club has. From the first time a a potential member, not even a new member, a potential member comes in, there's something about that atmosphere when you have a strong mentorship relationship going. So it helps you to get more members. Success attracts success. It also ensures that you have more satisfied members. Because if you have a strong mentorship program going, it means that the club is ensuring that their members are being developed, that their members' goals are being met. That must redound to the benefits of the club. That in turn means that you have a higher level of membership retention. So those are three strong reasons for us to ensure that we have a strong mentorship program going. And I'm going to pause here in case there are any questions or comments. Jessie?
I didn't see any questions, but Toastmaster Deanna made a comment. She said,
Yes.
get a good career icebreaker. And then we had Toastmaster Camille that said, the mentor can even learn from the person being mentored. So those were the comments so far.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That is key because if you have that proper relationship, you should be learning from each other. So, what do you think are some of the mentors' qualities? Let me just clear that slide. Can I get 2 or 3 persons to give me their idea of what are some of the qualities that you would expect in a mentor? There are 2 persons who raised hands.
We have 3 persons with their hand raised, and we also have
All
persons
right.
in the chat.
Let me just stop my video so I can see them and we'll come back. All right. Pilar, you first.
Madam Toastmaster, dear fellow Toastmasters, I think the qualities I expect in a mentor is, first of all, active listening and flexibility and adaptation to the mentee's needs.
I love that. I love that. Yes. Michelle Pierre.
Then again, I will say someone that is a great motivator, uh, someone who listens, as Hilary now mentioned, and someone who, what should I say? So that is like motivation. So these two, someone that will listen and someone that will push and motivate them into doing projects and giving them encouragement when they have thoughts of giving up on whatever they are doing.
Yes. And Natalie, you have a question or are you giving me some responses?
I was responding to your question of
Go
quality
ahead.
for the Toastmaster, for the mentor. And
yes.
I know they should be committed and dependable. I know they should be respectful and caring, positive and supportive. And I can reel those off my head because I am learning the role and I was a protege once.
You were approachable once?
Protege.
Oh, a protege. Okay, great. Kathia, I see your question. I'm not going to answer it yet. Don't let me forget it. But when we come to the protege, that's when I want to deal with that. Now,
Toastmaster Corin, we also had persons in the chat as well.
Yes.
A lot of them said similar things to the speaker, so I'll just highlight the ones that they did not say, like patience, being available, and we also had a question from a Toastmaster. And the question is, how do you recommend dealing with the cases where the mentee does not react to requests for meetings or who consistently cancel delivering their speeches?
Yeah, I'm going to deal with that later when we get to the qualities of the protege.
Mm-hmm.
And I see someone has asked about advice for people I've never mentored before. We're getting there. And I hope that by the end of this session, you will feel empowered.
Lady Corinne?
Yes.
We also have someone mentioning humility and willingness to learn.
Absolutely.
Attentive listener, loyalty, trust, motivator.
You are all such experts already. All of those are true. Let's go back and see if there's anything that we have missed out. All right. So our mentor must be available, must be patient, sensitive, and yes, that's very important. Just a minute, because I don't know what I did. I cannot see you all. Yes. Our mentor must be sensitive. Why do you suppose that our mentor must be sensitive?
To be able to empathize with their protege, to recognize how they're going.
Yes.
Again, we are all different persons and we have different temperaments and different leadership styles as well. And so some persons may be very sensitive in their own way as well. So we also, as Toastmaster Domain mentioned, we also have to empathize and try to understand exactly where they're going because their understanding level may be completely different from yours.
That's very good. Yes. A mentor also needs to be knowledgeable, which is why I was saying that although as a experienced member, we might say, oh, I'm done. I'm resting on my laurels. If we're going to be an effective mentor, I believe that we will eventually need to continue the program, especially this Pathways program. It's very hard to advise and guide your mentor, your protege, if you're not reading, if you're not aware of things, if you're not going on the Toastmasters website and can tell them where to go for certain things, how to guide them. I'm not saying you must give them all the knowledge. I'm not saying that you must spoon feed them, but you must be able to guide your protege even while the two of you are growing. You should be confident, not overweening confidence, but confident in your abilities and your ability to impart. You have to be a good listener. You have to be able to listen to your protege, not only to what they're saying, but very often to what they're not saying. Because especially at the beginning, when you are building the relationship and need to build confidence, sometimes you almost have to be like a detective in a good way to hone in on what are the real challenges. And sometimes it may be that you have to listen, you have to help, you have to support even before they speak. Because public speaking is a very frightening thing. There is an actual phobia about the fear of public speaking called glossophobia, and some of us have it to a crippling degree. Now, if you get a protege like that, it might take you a while before you get them to the place that they will even do an invocation, much less an icebreaker. It is an opportunity for you to learn, for you to grow with that person, for you to be understanding, for you to be sensitive, for you to be patient and hear what they're saying. One of the most important qualities of a mentor is trust. It's not everything that you hear that you are going to impart. You may have to have a conversation with, say, the VP Ed about how best to support that member, but that does not say, especially if the VP Ed is saying, well, John needs to speak. When are you going to do the icebreaker? You have to be that bridge. You may need to tell the VP Ed to hold off. I'm working on it. You don't have to give them, betray any confidences. Your protege must know that you have their back. It's a delicate balance. Remember what I said about sometimes a mentor, well, my mentors anyway, had to give me a kick in the pants. That sometimes it's tough love is necessary. When I was shilly-shallying and wouldn't do my icebreaker, Norma Rochester looked at me one day and said, next week you're doing your icebreaker. And I knew better than to tell her no. But it was because of the trust and confidence that I had in her that I was able to respond that way. Because she had brought me to a point that even though I might not know that I was ready, she knew that I was ready. Patricia Cadogan, you have a point. You have your hand raised. Please go ahead.
Thank you, distinguished Toastmaster Thomas. The point that you made earlier, I want to find out if I have a mentee and I recognize that the person has acute challenges of speaking, how do I go about assisting the individual to overcome that? Is it my place as the person's mentor to suggest to the individual that they might need professional help outside of Toastmasters? Because that relationship, I would see certain sensitivities or certain things about the individual that they might not have shared with me. So it is to me, it's very delicate. How do I help the individual? Because not everybody comes in and they can speak eloquently. Some people come in and they're stuttering, and maybe that is psychological. So how do I help that person there? It to me is a very sensitive thing. I'll stop there.
It is. It is sensitive. It is not something that you can approach at the beginning of the mentorship relationship. Hopefully over time you can get to a place where, because if it's just a speech impediment, you may be able to start by helping with exercises, because there are exercises that we can find that will help someone to deal with the particular challenge. There are, however, times when it's deeper than that. So they need more than just exercises to overcome the impediment. They need to get to the root cause. So you have to develop the relationship to the point where you feel that you can actually broach it. As I said, it's not going to be an overnight thing. It's not going to be the first time you meet with your protege, you're going to say that. Over time, when you get to know that person and when you see how they interact, you are likely to have more of an idea if this is something psychological. And very respectfully, very tactfully, ask the questions that could probably lead you to broaching that, and possibly be able to identify some resources that can help them. Because remember, just in the same way, I don't want to steal Kathy's thunder, but just in the same way that an evaluator should be giving, when you say things, you need to give recommendations and examples on how to improve. In the same way, one would hope that you're not just going to say, oh, you need to get a counselor. That's not going to work. So it's delicate, and it's not always going to be something that you, the mentor, can handle. The best thing I can say is it's time and development of the relationship is going to be able to tell you if it's something that you can handle. And you may have to seek advice of someone closer in how to deliver, how to have that conversation if it needs to be had. I have a mentee that she's a lovely, lovely person. But I realized, and we have some good conversations. She has the talent, but she doesn't speak as much, especially in this setting now. So our mentorship relationship has changed from the Toastmasters mentoring to just mentorship, because that's the place that she's at now. So she might not be doing her speeches, but we still have that relationship and a good relationship because that's where she's at now. Only time is going to tell you. Because remember that you must have an overarching concern for others. You cannot come to Toastmasters, you cannot come to mentorship with the I am the queen of the hill and I'm going to deliver to the peons. It's not going to work. Jesse, you have your hand raised.
Yes, I wanted to know if it's okay for me to read some of the comments and questions in the chat box. So we
Yes,
have,
let's do that quickly before I go
okay.
to the mentoring
So we
steps.
have one question that says, what happens if the mentor who was assigned to the mentee never step up to the plate, but believes that he or she can take the award for the mentee's growth? And then you had, that's one question.
Stop
Then
right there. I missed the ending of that. I lost. What happens
okay.
if?
What happens if the mentor who was assigned to the mentee never steps up to the plate, but believes that he or she can take the award for the mentee's growth? That's one question.
The short answer is that the club's mentorship program must be monitored by the club, by the VP Ed. And if that happens, then it wouldn't reach to the point where the mentor, so-called, is going to step up and take credit, because long before that, that mentor should have been replaced, because you know what's happening. But I'm going to deal with how to establish the program, and we're going to talk more about it. Give me the next question.
The next question is it possible for a mentor to motivate a protege to advance through the pathway program if the mentor is not motivated to start that program?
I want to say no, but I suppose it depends on the protege. I believe it would be difficult. It's not impossible, but it would be difficult. You're not going to be able to give the proper guidance, and you may give a negative vibe, which could hamper the protege. But if the protege is motivated enough, they could probably do it, but I think that it would hamper the protege. And again, that might be an instance where having other persons assist the protege in certain aspects would probably be a good thing. Hope I answered that question. Any more?
No more questions, but we had a Toastmaster that made this comment, and she said, it's similar to this. You cannot counsel me about marriage if you've never been married. Therefore, you must have the experience about Toastmasters experience to be able to mentor effectively, or at least keep abreast.
That's how I feel.
We just had a follow-up question, a follow-up to that question. They said, the Toastmaster said, what if the mentor left the role of being a mentor and said nothing to the club or the mentee? This is for whatever reason, perhaps added work pressure, new responsibility, etc.
Again, if it is being monitored, steps would be taken. Well, let's go on so we can deal with the club. With establishing the club program, and then we'll take those questions more in depth. So what are the mentoring steps? You have both been assigned, and the first thing is to sit down with the new member, and it should be done early. Orient the new member to club customs and procedures. Yes, a lot of clubs have an orientation session for new members if you have a group of new members, but that doesn't say that everything is covered. So still ensure that you have that you deal with any questions and any customs and procedures that the new member may have. For instance, if it's a club that uses Easy Speak or there are other scheduling tools, ensure that the member understands that. Explain how to sign up for roles and ensure, not just explain, ensure that the new member is enrolled in their first path. See how slowly I said that? Because if you don't, they are at first base. No, they're at the starting point and going no further. And especially if it's someone that is very eager, you could be the difference between a frustrated member or someone who goes zoop. So that's something that must happen early. And notwithstanding the fact that we're not meeting face to face, we can have Zoom sessions. Google has Meet. There are a number of ways that we can do it, that you can walk through the new member how to do pathways. And of course, you help them with their icebreaker. And that doesn't mean that you give them the manual and say, go along and do that. That's not mentoring. Absolutely and positively not. At the next meeting, ensure that the protege is aware of resources, and resources could be anything. It could be the Toastmasters website. It could be going more deeply into Basecamp. It could be sending them little things that you have. In my club, one of the things that we ensure is that as our member is voted in and put on the website, we send them a welcome email, and there are a number of documents that we send about pathways and some resources from the Toastmasters website. Ensure that they read them and understand them. It's a lot in one email, so people may skim over it. It's something that they need to do at their leisure. Talk to them about them, make sure that they understand. Because we include things like evaluation. There's a manual on evaluation. There's a manual on vocal variety, things like that. A Toastmaster wears many hats, which is very helpful. Things like the navigator on Basecamp. Let them understand that Toastmasters has a manual for that. Whatever you want, Toastmasters has a manual for it. Not to mention the fact that there are a number of websites that are also very useful. Provide positive feedback. Provide positive feedback. Provide positive feedback. You see how many times I repeated it? At all stages, everything they do, build them up. You're not whitewashing what they're doing, you're encouraging them, but ensure that you must be their main cheerleader. Explain their responsibilities as a member when they are going to have a role, so that they come to the understanding that however simple the role is, you took it on, you need to execute. Explain the before, the during, and the after process. Help them with speeches and other assignments. Over time, tell them how you have benefited. Now, I really believe that this is something that should go in the first conversation. You will continue it otherwise, but in your first conversation, tell them how you have benefited as a Toastmaster. Share your experience, the good and the bad. Invite the protege to other events, whether it is into clubbing, which a lot of us are doing even more now that we are virtual, whether it is to the speech contests, the area contests, the socials, the the district conference coming up, things like that. That's how they feel included. Notwithstanding the fact that we're virtual, we still need to ensure that our members feel included and not isolated. Acknowledge your protege's progress. Even if you were not the evaluator of a speech, you as their mentee, as their mentor, need to give your feedback to show them how they have grown, how they are developing. If it's a role that there would not be an evaluation for, you need to be the evaluator and give them feedback, the positive and the growth points, so that they feel encouraged to try again. Explain officers' roles, because as the mentor, you are one of the key architects of their success. What do I mean by that? That means that very often there are qualities in us that we do not see as an individual. And one of the mentor's responsibilities is to help, to encourage our members to grow. And sometimes that means guiding them into leadership responsibilities. A lot of times they don't see that they have the potential. You, as the mentor, need to be able to bring that out, to encourage them to grow and to build. Explain, so you need to explain officers' duties. Explain how speech contests are. Most people who went into speech contests were first pushed either by the VP Ed or by their mentor, and ensure that they understand the organization. The qualities of proteges: they must be eager to learn. They must be receptive and open to new ideas. They also need to be available and flexible and good listeners, because if they don't exhibit good listening skills, you might as well zip your lip, because nothing is going to get in. There's supposed to be a certain amount of gratitude too. Establishing a mentorship program in the club. Are there any questions before I move on?
Yes, we have two questions.
Yes.
Someone else said, how many protege should a mentor have? And is the amount restricted to one club or spread across other clubs?
The number of proteges that a mentor can have is dependent on the mentor, the time they have available that they can give to each mentee, and it is very important that you are honest with yourself and don't stint from your mentee. There's no limit to whether it's in your club or outside of the club. Even outside of the district, the division, it's okay. All right, I see the red, but we need to establish how do we establish a mentor program? Toastmasters International has a module in the Successful Club series called Mentorship. And it gives you the tools to do the job. The VP Ed is usually the person responsible for establishing and monitoring the mentorship program. There's a manual, a how-to manual, a PowerPoint presentation that you can use as a basis, and several documents. It tells you it gives you step-by-step how to do it. It tells you to conduct a mentorship survey, and that will help you. The form has, do you want to be a mentor? Would you like to have a mentor? It's a form that you fill in appropriately. You can fill in both. So you can be a mentor at the same time that you are mentoring, if you are an experienced Toastmaster. When you assign the mentors and proteges, there are also two forms that you can fill in to the mentor gets one, the mentee gets one, and the form actually has instructions at the bottom about their responsibilities. You're encouraged to present the workshop and to follow up to ensure that there are synergies between the two. Remember, I said that we need, and Toastmasters is big on recognition. So there is actually a certificate that comes with a kit that you can present to the mentors after they finish the assignment. These documents that I've mentioned here, we will share with you in the chat so that you can actually look at them and use them. That's just a picture of the certificate. The mentor-protege relationship is not a short-term relationship. So it is recommended that you perhaps have a 6-month contract. Discuss, the mentor and the mentee agree with each other what are the targets that you want to meet, both in terms of time and what the protege wants to do. And it is a good idea to agree on frequency of meeting and things like that. Review as needed, modify if necessary, and the VPE needs to monitor. Some of the strategies for success in order to have a strong and active program. Ensure that your new members are assigned a mentor early. And when I say early, I really believe that within the first week of them joining, you should be assigning a mentor. Because the fact is, somebody doesn't come to your meeting today and sign. So while you're having that conversation with them about joining, you should be looking at who is likely to be their mentor. Sometimes they may see someone who they want to ask, or if not, you assign someone. In some clubs, it's only certain people who can be mentors. This is an unwritten and very ridiculous rule, because it means that we're not taking advantage of our members who are skills as they learn and grow. And this is another opportunity for them to grow. Yes, you may need to train them, but you can't, it's not fair to the mentors, it's not fair to the proteges, it's not fair to the club if you only have 3 or 4 persons and everybody is assigned to these people. How can they do a good job? And isn't it frustrating for someone who has knowledge to impart if they're not getting the opportunity? So broaden your pool of mentors by training. It is okay to look outside of the club for mentors, especially if it's a new club. It's important, as I said, to monitor regularly, to review when necessary, and encourage the mentors to become Pathways mentors. I know I have the red card. There are two questions that I promised to deal with that I really need to deal with. Before I say that, though, I want to encourage you all to sign up for the Pathways Mentor Program. This will help you to look at mentorship in a whole new way. Because the first thing that it does is make you, as the mentor, look at yourself and why you are a mentor, why you want to be a mentor. What skills are you bringing to the mentorship relationship? So you've got to do a self-check, and then you work the program. Before Vinette, I acknowledge your red card. I want to deal with the two questions. The first one was, I think, what do you do about a protege who doesn't meet with you and doesn't do speeches? Regretfully, you cannot help someone who doesn't want to be helped, and we have to face that. You make the overtures, you try and try and try. If they're not responding, and you have there could be two reasons. Maybe they don't think that they need a mentor. Maybe things have happened and they're just not at that place where Toastmasters is front and center, because life happens. If you have had those conversations and you realize maybe the person has spoken to you, or maybe, so you know what's happening, sometimes you have to take a step back because they're just not at that place. There's a difference between support and tough love and stalking. So there comes a point where you just have to be, as with every relationship, realize it's not working now and back off. When they reach the place where they need it, they'll either come back to you or they will seek another mentor, because sometimes, as with every relationship, it might just be that you two didn't have the synergy. That happens too. Hopefully, before it reaches that place, which will answer the question about if the mentor checks out, what is ideal is that whether it is that the mentor or the protege are having a challenge or the relationship is not working out, hopefully they will go to the VP Ed and be honest and say, I'm having a challenge or I can't do it now. So VP Ed knows what to do. That's the ideal. What was the other question?
You answered the two questions, and we have one last question that says, how do I sign up for the mentorship program?
Yes, I saw that. Once you have finished level 2, you're going to get an invitation or a notification from Toastmasters International to tell you that you're eligible to sign up for the program. I cannot encourage you enough to sign up for the program. Even if you have mentored 100 people, and I don't think any of us here have mentored 100 people, it's going to make you look at it differently. Because the first thing, as I said, it makes you look at yourself and what you're bringing to the relationship. There are criteria that you need to meet and milestones, and also specific targets that you are going to have to deliver. It gives you tools as to how to Work with your protege, and that will strengthen your skills and strengthen the relationship. I want to remind you, mentorship is not one size fits all. Steven Spielberg said that there's a delicate balance of mentorship. We are not to create someone in our own image. We're bringing out the best. We're giving them the opportunity to create themselves. Now, I've spoken about that, and we have someone here who's going to give you her experience working the program and how it helped her, how she grew. So I want to introduce Toastmaster Yannick Daly, who's going to take over and tell you about her experience in the Toastmasters Pathways Mentorship Program. Toastmaster Yannick, the lectern is yours. Yannick?
DTM Karen, I'm not sure. I think we may have lost her.
Okay.
Do you need anyone to make a reference to their different experiences to support?
Madam Division Director, since you are also a Pathways mentor, well, the only two Pathways mentors that I'm sure are on is you and I. So unless anyone else is working the program and wants to give us their experience.
And no Yannick to save the day. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Madam Trainer. Going through the Pathways mentorship program was very interesting because there are some things that I had researched when I started out my own mentor experience. I was looking at the experience I had when I was a protege, and that I wanted to bring across that same kind of support system to anyone I was going to mentor. But I also did my research. So I thought, while I knew I wasn't perfect, I think I had a great plan. It wasn't until I started going through the information or the material that TI provided through that program that I recognized that this is so much more than I initially thought. It actually outlined a key process. As you mentioned, it's important to be very clear about yourself first. This is not about you and recreating someone in your image, and because you are good at this or because you love to do this does not mean that that's what you should project onto the person that you're going to mentor. You have to listen to who they are, what they want to achieve, and then sit with them and plan out how can you assist them on that journey. And you have to understand there's sometimes when you lead by encouraging them to be very clear about what they want, helping them put a plan together, teaching them where necessary how to do that. But you remember you're an advisory role, so you have to allow them the opportunity to deliver. You follow up and you check in, and you mentioned something that was very important. You also have to understand what's happening with a mentee. So if this is somebody who is always very active and they stop communicating all of a sudden, it doesn't mean that they're shirking out necessarily. It means you need to follow up what happened. And I have had opportunities to see persons have different things they want to focus on in life based on changes happening, and they made a different decision. So Toastmasters may not be the main focus for a few months because there's something they need to deal with. You have to support them. You don't tell them to give up and you don't leave off. You say, okay, can I check with you again in month X? And then you make sure you follow up and you ask, how are things going? A key thing I also found, and I was encouraged by the lessons that I learned from the material, DTM Karen, is you can also share with them that there are opportunities they can leverage in the paths that exist, even if they're not actively attending meetings. So I learned this one from Distinguished Toastmaster Donna. If someone is pursuing their master's degree, then they can actually benefit from a research and presenting program in the club. That's something that the VP Ed can partner with them to organize. If they're carrying out a special project for work, they can use that as a HPL opportunity for an HPL. So it's really three things. First, being very clear about what the protege wants to achieve. This is their life, this is their opportunity to grow. You are supporting them as best as you can. The second, help them put a plan together. And when you have that plan, it's not just about actions and timelines, it's all about how are we going to communicate, how are we going to check in, what happens if something should change, how do we manage that relationship? And also making sure that they know they can talk with you. You don't get upset or you don't decide that you won't respond in a certain way if their situation changes or they're not following everything to the T. It's also just figuring out, this has changed, what has happened, no worries, let us get back on track, here's how we adjust our plan. And then the third thing is to always remember, you are providing advice. They do not have to listen to every single thing. If their thoughts are, they could try it a different way. Even though you have your experience, you also have to allow this person to understand this is their choice. And they can decide how they want to do it. And you are there to encourage them, be their top cheerleader, and support them every single step of the way. What I do really appreciate about Toastmasters International, though, is that by creating this program, if every single person were to follow it to the T, I think we'll have definitely an increase in the quality of our mentors and what that means for persons who are being mentored properly. My few cents, distinguished Toastmaster Karen.
Thank you so much. You see, you just put the icing on the cake. Fellow Toastmasters, mentorship is one of the most rewarding things that you can possibly do for someone else and for yourself too. Seeing your proteges grow and begin to achieve their potential. The only thing that's similar to it is when you see your own children be all that they can be. So I encourage you to sign up for this program and be the most awesome mentor that you can possibly be. You will not regret it. You're going to grow yourself and take others along with you. It is a win-win. Madam Facilitator.
Can I please get some persons to unmute their mics and give our presenter a round of applause for an excellent delivery on the mentorship program.
Well done, distinguished Toastmaster Karen. Woohoo!
We were able to hear quite a number of different areas in terms of the qualities of both the mentor, the mentee, what do we need to apply to ensure that we have an effective mentorship program in place for our club. And also I noticed that the chat was very live, so that means persons were very much engaged, they were listening, and of course they were learning. So the distinguished Toastmaster Corin, we want to thank you for that once again. At this time, I would like to ask our Zoom master to go ahead and share the certificate so we can do the presentation of certificate to our presenters. Distinguished Toastmaster Corin, we want to present you with this certificate on behalf of the Division B family as a small token of appreciation for your valued contributions towards the session this afternoon. Thank you again for presenting and taking the time out to serve and to also share your knowledge and experience with us.
We also have another certificate there, one for Distinguished Toastmaster Melinda Lloyd.
Yeah.
For stepping in.
Yes.
That's
go ahead and share that. And
I am having technical difficulty now. I'm pressing for it to continue to share and it is not sharing.
No, it's fine. It's
Okay.
fine, Lady Adine. Thank you.
Madam Division Director Melinda, we will also want to present you with the certificate of appreciation for stepping in. We noticed that we lost Toastmaster Yannick, and so we want to also thank you for sharing your experience with us, and I'm sure that persons were able to learn from that. And with the recommendations that you also offered, knowing that even though a mentee may have challenges with sticking to an agreed schedule, they can take the opportunity outside of Toastmasters to pursue different projects that are aligned with their respective paths. So thank you once again for sharing that experience with us. And we present you with this certificate of appreciation. Thank you, Madam Zoom Master, for that. And would you like to go right ahead with launching the poll so that persons can complete that? We'll ask all persons that are in attendance to please take a few minutes of your time to answer.
The poll has been launched. Please go ahead and participate. You have 30 seconds to go. Please click, click, click. I'm ending the polls now. Thank you for your participation. Over to you, Madam.
Thank you so much, Madam Zoom Master, for that. At this time, we will take our break. Madam Division Director, are we good with time? Are we going to go right into the break, or we'll go into the next session right away?
We're going to jump right into the break and then come back for our next session.
Okay, thank you so much for confirming that. Zoom J, are you locked in?
We're ready, we're ready.
Awesome. Please take it away. And I want to ask persons to, Madam Tamara, can you confirm at what time should persons return to their screens, just in case they want to step away for some water or coffee or tea or something?
At 2:45. We resume at 2:45.
Thank you for confirming that. Zoom J, take it away.
Thank you, Mr. Zoom J. Please, everyone, send some love in the chat if you are enjoying those beats from our Zoom J. It is now time for us to move on to our second training session. And to lead us off, we have a Toastmaster who has been a member of the Nova Power Speakers Toastmasters Club since 2018. She has served in a number of different capacities, including Vice President membership in the 2018-2019 Toastmasters year, and Vice President Education in the 2019-2020 Toastmasters year. During her tenure as Vice President membership, she added 16 persons to the club's membership roster and caught the Toastmaster of the Year award for that period. She is currently serving as president of her club, and she is someone who is an architect and works at the firm Plexus Architects and Planners, who were the architects on projects such as the Lofts in Jamaica, a residential complex opposite the stadium, and a number of renovations in our main business capital of New Kingston. We're speaking of none other than Toastmaster Stacey Ann Wright, and she's excited to lead our next session on evaluation and how you can learn how to evaluate like a boss. Please make welcomes President Stacey to lead us through this segment.
Thank you for that warm introduction, Madam Division Director. Yes, friends, it is now time for us to delve into evaluating like a boss, the essentials of evaluation. Well, what is evaluation anyway? I like the simplicity of this definition. It is the hindsight or the insight gained from hindsight. It's a cornerstone principle, evaluation. We do it at every meeting, every speech, but it's also a life skill. Think of teachable moments with kids or performance reviews at work, even customer feedback given to your favorite store. Just thinking about ourselves in any of those instances reminds us that, boy, there is a right way and there is a very, very wrong way to give and receive evaluations. And so today we're here learning about how to get it right. As Maya Angelou tells us, do the best you can until you know better. When you know better, do better. We're here today to learn how to do better at our evaluations. And to help us with that, we need a Sherpa, a guide, a maestro to tell us the ways of evaluations. The mantra of our guide for this evening is challenge your weaknesses long enough and they will become your strengths. I love that. I think that is a perfect mantra for someone to lead us through today's activities. These are the words of distinguished Toastmaster Kathia Magdalene. She believes that most challenges are a practice away from progress. Distinguished Toastmaster Kathia has been a Toastmaster for 9 years. She is a member of the SXM Achievers, Evolution and Golden Rock Toastmasters Club. So not one, not two, but 3 Toastmasters clubs, and has served in her home club in several capacities, and also as Division E Director for District 81. Outside of the Toastmasters environment, she is making waves and changes as well. She is the founding president of the Business and Professional Women Concordia XXM Association, and she is its founding president. This women's empowerment organization has consultative status with the United Nations and lends a voice to women and girls from all walks of life. I'm sure you will agree with me that she is a wonderful person to guide us this evening as we all seek to do better and to become evaluation bosses. Please make welcome to the virtual lectern our guide for this evening, distinguished Toastmaster Kathia Magdalene.
Thank you so very much, Madam Moderator, for such a warm welcome. Thank you. Greetings to all. Before I begin, I want to commend DTM Corinne Thomas for such an insightful session. I learned so much. I will be sharing my screen now. Can everyone see my screen?
We're seeing you.
Yes. Wonderful. Excellent. Evaluate like a boss. In my introduction, Madam Moderator explained that with practice, we can achieve everything. And evaluation is one of those things that requires that practice. It requires practice, it requires strategy. And this afternoon, we will be looking at a few points that's going to help us identify how to go about doing or conducting effective evaluations. This afternoon's session outline includes the definition and role of an evaluator. We will see techniques and tips on how to evaluate effectively. We will have a demonstration speech. We will have a demonstration evaluator, and we will also engage the audience by forming 2 groups that will evaluate the same speech. Please take notes. Take as many notes as you need to, because we will end the session with a Kahoots quiz. So please write down, type it, whatever you need to do take notes because a winner will be selected at the end of the session. Let's begin. What is the evaluator's role? The role of an evaluator is to provide honest reaction in a constructive manner to the speaker. The feedback provided should mention the effect it has on the evaluator themselves. It is not a general opinion of the club or anyone else present. It is only a feedback from you as evaluator. The feedback must encourage and motivate the speaker to come back. And of course, the evaluator should genuinely aim to help the speaker develop. In the Toastmasters environment, it is supposed to be supportive, and therefore our role as evaluators is to support the member to achieve their goal by providing effective feedback. Before we begin, I want to mention a point that was highlighted by someone in the audience at a past session, distinguished Toastmaster Malcolm Jacques, who said to me, "You provided an evaluation training, but you didn't speak about the general evaluator. What role does he or her play in this process?" And I thanked him because that was a very good statement. The general evaluator plays a significant role in the process of evaluating. The general evaluator is responsible for guiding the process and the facilitation team to ensure that they know their tasks and responsibilities. I know, for example, the same Toastmaster who mentioned the role of the general evaluator, when he is serving in that role, he communicates with his entire facilitation team, devises a strategy, and then they present. I think that's just a wonderful idea. So he or she would explain the purpose and benefits of the evaluation to the group. And of course, I can't do without giving him credit because that point I hadn't thought about including in the training. So thank you, distinguished Toastmaster Malcolm Jacques. In the evaluation process, we know that the evaluator plays a significant role, a very, very important role in the journey of the Toastmaster being evaluated. Very important for the evaluator to remember is that an evaluation is an opinion, nothing more. An evaluator is not a judge or an authority on speaking or leadership. These words are written in the Toastmasters documents. We as evaluators cannot change a person's behavior or force the person to accept our ideas and suggested changes. And we cannot demand that a speaker or leader repeats a project if we believe that they did not achieve the objectives. I feel that this point was very important to be added because I recognize that there are many clubs with different cultures. And I would like to make a special point about this note is that while different clubs have different cultures, some rules are not those of Toastmasters International. If in your club's regulation, you have outlined the need for a member to redo their speech, should the evaluator feel that they did not accomplish the objectives, then so be it. But unless there are rules defined that the entire membership is made aware of, then it should not be considered as normal to ask someone to redo their speech. In fact, I believe, that's a personal opinion, that the evaluation should motivate the speaker in such a way that they will make the decision on their own to present the speech a second time. So here, Toastmasters International does not restrict any topic that a person could speak about. There are some clubs I have noticed, or some persons who believe that Toastmasters International restricts certain topic. And while doing some research on that, I learned that this is not the case. Persons are allowed to speak about whatever they would like to speak about. Toastmasters International simply recommends that we consider the audience to ensure that what we present is tasteful to them. And finally, the decision to accept our suggestions is only that of the speaker, no one else. Only the speaker can determine whether they accept the suggestions to apply to their next speech or not. And as audience, as members of the audience, we play a very important role as well. Remember, the speaker is looking at us, trying to connect with us, trying to get the signals or a cue as to whether we think they are doing well or not doing well. How many of you have have delivered a speech and looked at certain persons in the audience or their reaction and immediately felt stuck because you perceived that they did not like what you were saying? Is there anyone who would like to share that with us? Or is there anyone who has had that experience? Madam Division Director?
Thank you for this opportunity to share, Madam Presenter. When I just started out, I've had instances where I've had to ask for yes persons in the audience, like my mentors and my friends, because I would see certain faces and start freaking out. I'm like, what is happening here? Is it really that bad? But my mentors over time have guided me, and now I have some strategies I can use. But you are correct. It can really hamper a presenter's presentation.
Thank you so very much, Madam Division Director. It is proof that while we are evaluating the speaker is evaluating us. They are evaluating our reaction to how we might be perceiving what they are saying. So the evaluation process is two-way. It's two-way, and we must be cognizant of that as members of the audience. In Toastmasters, again, I cannot stress enough, it is a supportive environment, and we should be cognizant of the fact that our body language speaks very loudly. The speaker is also evaluating your body language, as I just said, in response to what he or she is saying. So be careful not to send negative cues through facial expressions and other body language. We are all responsible for creating a supportive learning environment for whoever takes to the lectern in whatever function that they may be assigned. So let us please pay attention to that. As the speaker, it is very important that we mention the speaker is the one that's going to be most impacted by the evaluation. So for the speaker, it is important to remember that the evaluation is only one opinion. If there are 60 people in the room, it is 1 out of 60. Therefore, do not take it personally. It's not the opinion of the entire audience because you do not know what they think. So do not be discouraged. It is one opinion only. So do not take it personally. Do not allow it to discourage you from going forward. And here is an opportunity to speak to your mentor. As distinguished Toastmaster Corinne mentioned, the mentor is supposed to guide and support. So please feel free to discuss that with your mentor. Let's look at some tips and techniques. I think one of the most difficult things in the evaluation process is putting together how to structure evaluation, what to say when you're giving an evaluation, when to say it, how to say it. There are so many things that we need to know in order to do an effective evaluation. Before we move forward, I see that Patricia Kodagan has her hand up. Toastmaster Patricia, could you please save your question as soon as the session is, as soon as I'm finished, then the floor will be opened to allow you to ask the question. So let's look at the tips and techniques to evaluate effectively. First, we must prepare. How do we do so? We must read the entire content of the Pathways Project evaluation form prior to the speaker delivering the presentation. If we don't do so prior to the presentation, we will not know what to look for and might miss out key points that are relevant to the evaluation. I know that most people are now on Pathways. However, there might be 1 or 2 persons who are trying to accomplish the Distinguished Toastmaster distinction and might still be working on the last project of the legacy program. In that case, it is important to look at the project assignment as well as the project objectives. It's important to talk with the speaker or leader before the meeting because the project objectives on the evaluation forms speaks to what is expected for the project itself. However, the member may have objectives. The member might be working on a point. They might be working on controlling a particular tick. They might be conscious that they stutter during speaking, and they may want their evaluator to pay attention to that. So it's important to find out, what does the speaker want? Is there anything extra the speaker is looking forward to? Then it's important to plan an assessment or note-taking strategy. I think this is the most difficult because we have a small window to provide an effective evaluation while we motivate the member, and that's not always possible given the time slot that we have. So having a strategy on how to collect the information that we're going to speak about during the delivery of the evaluation is very important. So we need to plan an assessment or note-taking strategy. Very important to remove or limit potential distractions and give the speaker our full visual and auditory attention. There are things the speaker will say that we will hear. There are things the speaker will say that we will see, and it's very important for us to pay attention to that. The second step, note-taking strategies. What are they? I recommend having templates to write down your observations. And it should include what you heard, what you saw, and what you felt. It's personal to you as the evaluator. I recommend also using the speech evaluation form as a guide by checking off objectives met and Xing out those that were not met. I recommend the use of the International Speech Contest, judges by as a base, and that's item number 11. If the evaluation is of an evaluation, so if you're evaluating an evaluator, I recommend using the evaluation contest judges guide and ballot. You can also create your own template and ensure that it comprises the objectives of the project as well as the objectives of the speaker. Continuing with the tips and techniques, we must look and listen to understand. Look and listen to understand. Try to understand the speaker's intention. That is the operative word, intention. Maybe someone is speaking about a particular event, and as the evaluator, you might not perceive it to have been effectively delivered. However, if you understand the speaker's intention, you have more food to provide during your evaluation segment. So we must be attentive to the speaker. The third important point is to summarize and structure our feedback into at least 3 parts, just like Toastmasters taught us: introduction, body, and conclusion. It allows the recipient to receive the message in a more positive way. When giving our feedback, we must apply effective communication strategies, such as the use of positive body language. We must personalize our feedback. So we must say, I, it is only our feedback. We must apply the sandwich feedback technique, unless you have a different technique that works and operates in a positive manner. And we must know which points of our evaluation should be said on the platform with the audience, what should be said on a one-on-one, and what should be written on the evaluation form. This point is very important because a lot of people believe that everything should be said on the platform. Remember, we are in it to support the member, to encourage them, and there are some things that are not appropriate to be said in an evaluation where the audience is present. For example, assuming that you're at a Toastmasters meeting and someone comes to deliver a speech and they're wearing flip-flops, the evaluator could make a comment such as, I think you were wearing flip-flops and it wasn't appropriate for such a meeting. That is something personal, and depending on who it is, they might never come back. I've seen a case like that where a Toastmaster quit Toastmasters because she had the chikungunya at that time, and she came to the meeting to deliver her speech with flip-flops on, and that totally discouraged her from being a Toastmaster. She never came back. So we must be very careful with what we're gonna say in front of the audience, and what we're gonna say on a one-on-one, and what we're gonna write as well. So we must be cognizant of that. Let's look a bit at the use of positive language. I recommend that we avoid using the word but before giving praise. Because if we use the word but, we are canceling out all the praise we give before that. Instead, I would recommend using words such as notwithstanding or however or despite. When providing feedback on points that we felt could have been improved, I recommend not saying you. Do you remember when you were a child and your parents did you? There is a feeling of attack that can happen, and some people, the word you when delivering a negative message can be a trigger to a negative memory, which can cause them to block receiving what you're saying. So let's look at some examples. And there is also, you should have, remember, because it's an opinion, it's a feedback, it's only our opinion. Instead of saying you should have, I would prefer to say you could have, because it's our opinion. It's not a fixed, there's no fixed way of doing things. It's our recommended way of having it done. Let me outline some of those examples. So instead of using but, I mentioned the recommendation to use notwithstanding, despite, etc. Instead of using the word you when delivering, I should say, negative feedback, I'll give you an example. Toastmaster John Doe, you did not meet the project's objectives because you did not provide statistical data. I think it could best be said, Toastmaster John Doe, I would have liked to see statistical data to support your standpoint, along with the sources that you use to obtain the information. It would have helped to give more credence to your findings. I'm speaking about how I felt. Another example where the use of you should have is concerned, Toastmaster John Doe, you should have paused after making the humorous statement to allow the audience to soak it in. I would recommend being careful with how we structure that feedback and making a statement such as, Toastmaster John Doe, after making the humorous statement, you could have paused to allow me to join in the laughter. By the time I picked up on the joke, you were already speaking on your next point. Therefore, I did not laugh to avoid distracting you. So this is an example of using positive language as opposed to negative language. So now it's time to talk nutrition. Health is important and nutrition is very vital. And we can't talk about nutrition without mentioning the sandwich approach. This is what we have here. So at the bottom here, we have the bun, the bottom bun, we have the meat, we have the salad, and then we have the top. Because this is a sandwich, we start building the sandwich from the bottom. I've listed the opening statement, encouraging opening with what you liked about the speech. Then indicate points that you feel the speaker could improve on, followed by a recommendation on how they should improve. And of course, it's very important to close with a motivating statement or feedback. A recommended structure is, we should include our opinion, the reason for our opinion, give examples where needed, and make recommendations for improvement. Let's do a quick recap. The evaluator's role is to provide honest reaction in a constructive manner to the speaker or leader's efforts. I mentioned the word efforts. The feedback provided should mention the effect on you as the evaluator. The feedback must encourage and motivate the speaker or leader. And I'm saying leader because sometimes we have to evaluate an evaluator, or evaluate a timer, or evaluate anyone who's taking a role in the meeting. The evaluator should genuinely aim to help the speaker or leader to develop. An evaluation is an opinion, nothing more. As evaluators, we are not judges or authority on speaking or leadership. We cannot change the person's behavior or force a person to accept our ideas and suggested improvements. Nor can we demand that a speaker or leader repeats a project, unless if your club rules states that. The decision to accept our suggestion is the speaker or leaders alone. And Toastmasters International does not limit project topics. It is the decision of the speaker, unless the club has defined specific regulations with regards to speaking topics. We continue with the recap. To deliver an effective evaluation, we must prepare. We must know the project objectives, talk to the speaker in advance, etc. We must take notes. We must use tools such as templates to help us to save time. We must look and listen attentively to understand the speaker's intention. We must summarize and structure our feedback with an opening body and conclusion. We must apply effective communication strategies such as the use of positive language, personalized feedback, the sandwich technique, pleasant tone, and body language. We mentioned earlier that body language is very important, even for the audience, because the speaker is also evaluating the reaction of the audience. We must use empathy to determine what must be said on a one-on-one discussion with the speaker and what must be said in the audience's presence. So we must use wisdom. And this is the time for us to do a demonstration. However, before doing so, I would like to give the floor to the person who had their hand up a while ago to ensure that they do not forget their point. Someone had their hand up. I forgot.
Absolutely. That was Toastmaster Patricia. Patricia, please go ahead.
Good afternoon, Madam Facilitator. Thanks for allowing me to make a contribution. I had a very difficult speech that I gave, and I was talking about losing someone very dear to me. I did not break down, but I dressed appropriately. And when I concluded a very difficult, challenging speech, because I had to relive the situation, my evaluator never complimented me on dressing appropriately, but suggested, Madam Facilitator, that I should do over the speech. And I thought, and this is an experienced Toastmaster, I thought that it was quite insensitive to ask me to do over a speech about losing someone that was, dear to me. So I took your point in that the individual need to recognize the effort of the individual and to encourage the individual. No doubt, I must say that in that project, the person made a recommendation. She said she could not hear me. I'm speaking about death and I cannot raise my voice. My tone was clear in my estimation. And and the room that I was in was quite small, so I didn't need to project and whisper. But what I did is I took the suggestions that she said I should make in the next project. And I can assure you and this august body here this evening that the speech that I tendered after that, every single one could have heard me. But my point is that we need to be cognizant and be sensitive. So you have on the evaluator's cap, but you need to be sensitive and recognize this is going to be a challenge to this individual.
Correct.
Right? This is not about being right. It's about being appropriate and encouraging the individual in that regard as well. And that's just my opinion. And thank you for allowing me to share it.
You are very welcome. And what you said is very true. That's where wisdom comes in. If we should be able to identify that a person is delivering something, a topic that's very sensitive, to allow us to be even more empathetic as to what it took them to deliver that speech. Thank you for sharing that with us. Thank you so very much.
Absolutely. Madam Moderator, we also have a question from Rhonda, who asks that you go over the sandwich technique.
Okay, super. Toastmaster Rhonda, are you there?
Good day. Yes, Madam Facilitator. The slide on the sandwich technique. Do you mind?
Yes, let me go back to that.
And just go over it again, please.
Yes, let me do that. All right. Here we go. Here it is. The sandwich technique, we have so the bottom of the bun is the beginning, okay? Encouraging opening with what we liked about the speech, provide points where we felt they could have improved, and provide a recommendation for improvement. and of course, close with an encouraging closing.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Facilitator.
You're very welcome.
Okay, wonderful. We have two final questions that I see in the chat. First is from Tim Carla, who asks, can we let a speaker know publicly that we will chat to them on the outside of the meeting?
That is a very tricky question, and I've been asked that before. Depending on how the speaker perceives that the evaluator took their speech, it can create a fear that it is a signal that there is something that they did not like, that they want to discuss on a one-on-one. So I think in such cases, it would be best if the general evaluator explains and sensitizes the audience to the fact that the evaluation is probably a three-step process. It's not done only within the audience or in the presence of the audience. I think it will be best to do it that way, because depending on how persons perceive the speech, it can signal that something was not nice, was not liked. That's my recommendation, is to ensure that the general evaluator does their job of sensitizing the audience to the fact that, firstly, an evaluation is an opinion. Secondly, the evaluation process has more than one facet. It can be trifaceted, whereby an evaluation could be provided one-on-one, it could be provided in writing, and it can also be delivered in the presence of the audience.
Thank you so much for that. These are awesome, awesome points of information. I'm seeing so many persons sharing stories about evaluations gone wrong in the chat. You know, I remember an evaluator making a new member cry who delivered her ice break, and it was like a tradition in a club, not the tradition that we want to encourage. I see one final question here. What should we do to this point when an evaluator is being way too harsh with a speaker?
I think that's where the general evaluator comes in. It is the role of the general evaluator. The role of the general evaluator is a leader of that team. They should prepare the team on how to evaluate. They should ensure that whoever is assigned the role of an evaluator understands the objectives and understands the dynamics with delivering a feedback. Because if they don't prepare them, let's say in the case of a new Toastmaster who doesn't know about that, who doesn't understand the importance of evaluation, it can really be a case of evaluation gone wrong. So there again, I would say it's not, while it's not only the role of the general evaluator, the role of the mentor is very important. And let's be honest, there are some persons who are by nature direct and they don't hold back in what they would like to say. However, I think that when they are assigned the role of an evaluator, it is very important to mention the importance of providing constructive feedback in a positive manner. So we can reinforce that message continuously to ensure that everyone who takes on that role understands that that evaluation, while they may see it as only evaluating one speech, it can mean the end of the beginning for a Toastmaster.
Absolutely, absolutely. I see one final question just popped up. Can the evaluation be interactive, i.e. the speaker and the evaluator?
I think there is value in that. However, I would like to state that when we are evaluating a presentation, we are evaluating the output. So what we receive from what the person delivered. We can choose to ask a question or two. For example, if we perceive that a presenter wanted to present a particular point and we were not sure, we can state it and probably give them the opportunity to answer. I don't see anything wrong with that. However, I do think that the feedback we're giving is on what we perceive from what they have done. So the way they delivered it, if it was not in the way they intended, then that's a whole other situation. Because remember, it is often stated that there are three versions of a speech. There's what we planned, there's what we delivered, and that there's what we would have liked to deliver. Does that answer the question, or should I expound a bit more?
To me, that answered the question perfectly.
Okay, great.
Okay, and we have just a few questions popping up here now. Does the views, some of this is related to what we spoke of before. Does the views of the audience matter when an evaluator gives a negative comment?
The views of the audience, no. I would say, I shouldn't say no, because that's making it a bit harsh. It's important to remember that the view of the evaluator is what's being presented, not the views of the audience. Seeing that evaluation is not open to the audience, unless it is a case where the audience is being asked to evaluate. If it's not that case, then I recommend that there will not be an opportunity for the audience to voice how they felt about the evaluation. So everyone will have their own opinions. One person will find it's great. One person would find it was not. Another person would find that, hey, I didn't like the way that person evaluated. There will be, if there were 30 persons in the room, there could be 30 different opinions. And that is something that we must be conscientious of, that evaluation is something personal. And therefore, it would be a challenge to incorporate the feedback of the entire audience.
Thank you so much for that. I think that concludes our questions at the moment, so we can proceed.
Wonderful. So by a show of hands, how many of you have taken notes? By a show of virtual hands, how many of you have taken notes? Okay, I'm not seeing the hands, but hopefully there are many hands up.
Screens are popping up.
They are popping up. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Now it's time for a demonstration. To speak about evaluation without doing a demonstration would not be as effective. Therefore, we've incorporated a demonstration. And let me introduce you to our demonstration speaker this afternoon. She hails from the island of St. Eustatius in the Dutch Caribbean. She is the president of the Golden Rock Toastmasters Club, a club that I am a member of. If I must say so myself, I'm extremely proud of her. She is a great leader. She has taken her club to from a challenge club to a club that has achieved 10 out of 10. And that was done in a very short period of time. It gives me great pleasure to introduce Toastmaster Nasha Rajuki, LD5, and the title of her presentation this afternoon will be Fighting for Emancipation Again. Fighting for Emancipation Again. Toastmaster Nasha will be presenting this speech with a duration of 5 to 7 minutes. And before she begins, please allow me to evaluate her pre-selected evaluator, who is in the person of Toastmaster Lilith Wilson. She is the president of Clarendon College Toastmasters Club. I think it's Presidential Day this afternoon because we have two presidents, one being evaluated and one evaluating. That's awesome. And now I would like to call Toastmaster Nasha to the virtual lectern so she could present her speech. Before you begin, Toastmaster Nasha, let me also inform the audience that we will be forming two groups comprised of members of the audience. I would like to get 2 volunteers to serve as captains for the evaluation team. Just to go over the process again, the audience will be split in 2. We select a captain for each of the 2 groups. You will be placed in 2 separate breakout rooms where you will formulate an evaluation together. You have 5 minutes to do so, and then you come back to the main room and the leader of each team will present their evaluations. Can we get 2 volunteers, please? 2 volunteers to serve as team leader for the evaluation segment. Going once, going twice. Are there any hands up? I can't see the hands.
Claudia Powell has raised her hand.
Okay, that's our first leader. Could you please repeat the name?
Claudia Powell.
Toastmaster Claudia Powell, what would you like to name your group? Let's make it fun. What's the name you would like your group to be called?
I would like the group to decide on the name.
You would like the group to decide on the name. You don't know as yet who will be in your group. That's the exciting part. They will be randomly selected. Think about it. We'll come right back to you as we look for our second volunteer. Who is the second leader? We have so many people on this afternoon, 115. We should be able to find one other leader that's going to guide their team through the process of evaluation. One more, Madam Moderator. Should I recommend that you volunteer someone?
Oh my goodness. Well, I'm looking in the chat and I'm looking on the screen. I know that someone is there just wanting to do this and doesn't want somebody else to get volunteered. So now is the time to jump in.
Yes, we want to stick on time because we have an exciting quiz coming up and I want to make sure that we capitalize on it.
There's a hand there.
There's
oh,
a hand.
Yes, another hand came up, Sudan Cameron.
Awesome. Could you please repeat the name?
Sudan Cameron.
Sudan Cameron, wonderful. What would you like your team name to be?
Expert evaluators.
Expert evaluators. Could the name please be listed? Could you please rename, know who you are? Expert evaluators. Going back to the first team, what have you chosen a team name?
Still thinking about it.
Okay, let me choose one for you. We can do this. Just call your team, we can do this.
Okay.
May I have Claudia saying something again, please?
I have two instruments on because I speak on one and I use the camera for the other.
Go again, you're speaking on, okay, I see you now. Thank you so much.
Welcome.
Excuse me, Toastmaster Katia, DTM Katia. As Murphy Law states, anything that can go wrong will go wrong. Can you give me 1 second to log into my another device? My camera seems to be acting up.
You're muted. One sec, facilitator Katia, we're not hearing you. Go ahead.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Yes, please proceed, Toastmaster Nasha. In the meantime, I will take another question for anyone who has questions on what was presented this afternoon on evaluation. Any questions, concerns, disagreements? Sometimes there can be disagreements with statements. Please feel free to share it with us at this time.
While we wait for questions to pour in, I have a question for you. Would it be okay to have, in terms of getting your audience reaction, to ask a general question of your audience? What did you think? If the person was trying to describe an event, did you get a full understanding of the event? In other words, it's a temperature check to see if the audience received what the speaker was trying to give.
Well, excellent idea, Madam Moderator. So the question is, could you please repeat the question so I can ask it, or do you want to go ahead and ask it?
Is it okay to get the audience reaction as a question, a single question posed to the audience as part of your review, part of your evaluation?
Okay. Is it okay to get the audience's reaction as part of
using a single question?
With a single question. Can you please give me an example?
So for instance, your speaker is presenting on, he is giving a descriptive explanation of something. You could ask the audience, did you find it? Were you moved? Did you find it exceptionally,
Absolutely. Absolutely. I have done that in the past, and I have done it when I felt by observing the audience's reaction that the person did deliver. I would definitely ask the question, Toastmasters, did Toastmaster John Doe speak effectively? Did you understand the gist of Toastmasters John Doe's presentation? And allow the audience to respond. I think that's a way of motivating the speaker as well, so that they understand that you are not the only person who believes that they did a great job.
Wonderful, thank you for that. I see a very important question that just came up in the chat. What are the objectives of the demonstration speech that is about to be given?
The objectives of the demonstration speech is very important for persons who are going to be presenting, for the person who is going to be evaluated. The purpose is to highlight the fact that for one speech, you can have so many different forms of evaluation, so many different feedback that explains exactly why the speaker should not take it personal. For one speech, someone will tell you, I think you didn't have enough vocal variety. Someone else will say, I think the vocal variety was off the chain. Someone else will say, I think you could have spoken a little louder. Everyone will be delivering their feedback based on their perspective. And that is what we want to demonstrate by having a demonstration speaker. We want to demonstrate also that there are different strategies to delivering a feedback. And you will notice that most persons will say something different. Some might say even opposing things. And that's the main purpose. Does it make sense?
But Madam Facilitator, I believe if my interpretation is correct, he wants to know the objectives of the specific speech that is going to be, the specific objectives of the speech that will be done as a demonstration speech.
Oh, my apologies.
That is my interpretation.
It was intentionally not shared with the audience. It is because we could not foresee in advance who would be taking on the role. However, the pre-assigned evaluator does have the objectives. The intention is for you to evaluate the speech, how it was delivered, what you felt about it. And so it's a general evaluation and not an evaluation on a specific objective in this case. The pre-assigned evaluator does have it, but we can also share it if you like on the screen, if that's going to help you.
I believe it would be helpful because typically when we evaluate speeches, we evaluate with those objectives in mind, the specific objectives in mind. So it would help the groups, I believe, to be more pointed and to give a more effective evaluation.
Wonderful, point well taken. Toastmaster, if you have your evaluation, can you share it please on the screen?
Madam Facilitator.
Hi, yes.
Yes, I also think that if we do not know the evaluation, then we will evaluate the speech as it is presented and give our opinion based on what's presented, similar to how it's done for a speech contest, an evaluation contest. And maybe we would see a greater variety of responses if it is done that way.
Very good point. Very good point. Toastmaster Nasha will be presenting from the Innovative Planning Path, Level 4, and the project is Planning Projects Successfully. I noticed most of the pathways evaluations contain the same generic information. However, I will still ask Toastmaster Nasha to share. Can you please share your evaluation on the screen, the objectives? Share it in the chat, the evaluation form, so that persons can read the objectives. That is a significant difference I find between Pathways and the Legacy program. The Legacy program had specific areas to look at, while Pathways has everything.
May I say something?
Yes, please do.
Okay, so back to what you were saying about asking questions to the audience based on the reception, they may have liked the speech, etc. But then the opposite is also true, that sometimes someone is presenting and it's like when you look at the audience, they're just like, why is that person up there speaking?
Could you please repeat the statement?
No, I'm just saying that similar, opposite to what you just said, there are instances when you have a speaker who is speaking, but the audience is not interested. And you can see it on their faces, how.
Point well taken, and that's where wisdom comes in. Highlighting that, putting that, making that open by asking the audience when you have already sensed that it was not positively received would not be a good idea.
Right.
That's why I stated if it's something positive, it's okay. If not, I don't recommend it because it can definitely destroy the speaker.
Yeah. Thanks.
Toastmaster Nasha, I see you're trying to get my attention. Are you ready? You're muted?
Yes, I am ready, but no, I was trying to get the attention of the spotlighter. They were asking which one they should highlight. So I was waving, asking them if they saw me waving, so they knew.
Okay, great.
And
Great.
also,
Could you
I don't have
evaluation form?
sharing abilities. I just asked if I can be allowed to share, as you said, so I can share the evaluation form.
Okay, Madam Moderator.
Okay, we will get that organized right now.
Wonderful. In the meantime, are there any other questions?
Good evening, good afternoon. I raised my hand, but I did not get any acknowledgement, so I decided to open my mic.
Thank you. My sincere apologies. I'm not seeing all the hands.
Okay, my name is Leah Edward, TM Leah from the Public Service Toastmasters Club in St. Lucia. And you spoke about asking persons to repeat a speech. You also said, I think, that it has to be decided on the club level. It has to be something the club have decided that they would go ahead with.
Correct.
I have asked persons before to repeat a speech, but I did not get that okay from the club. It's like I saw it had been done before, so I continued with the trend, but it's not something I discussed at the club level. It was not discussed. I saw it happen, and so I followed. And
that is,
yes.
After you. My apologies. I thought you were finished.
Yeah, I did not realize the club had to be something the club had to agree on. I thought it was Toastmasters. That's how it's done.
Understood. And that is a issue that many persons have when we are new and we are trying to learn the process. We emulate persons who we see as good Toastmasters. Sometimes they might not necessarily know the rules themselves. They might have taken that information from a previous Toastmaster as well. So it's very important to verify the information for ourselves. The Toastmasters International website has a wealth of information and everything is verifiable. If you can't find it on the site, you have the opportunity of reaching out to Toastmasters International. Sometimes it's as simple as an email and they always respond. So my recommendation is if you have any doubts or anything that you learn, ensure that you verify it. Anything at all. Because in our territory, I'm from St. Martin, and in our territory, I remember there was a club that was the eldest club on the island, and most persons emulated them. They followed what they were doing. But we later learned some things we learned that certain things were not a Toastmaster policy. And that was because a Toastmaster took the time to verify for themselves. So that's very important. I think that's a very good question. Thank you so very much for asking it. And that's my answer. I hope it answers your correctly.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
You're
very welcome.
Madam Presenter?
Yes, Madam Moderator.
This isn't the moderator. Just saying we're going to stop your screen sharing right now to allow our speech presenter to share her screen.
Great. Are you trying to share the evaluation form, Toastmaster Nasha? You're muted, so I can't hear what you're saying.
Apologies. Yes, I am, but I'm still not being allowed to. I don't know what's
I
going on.
recommend you put it in the chat. Can you put it in the chat?
Will do.
Thank you. Oh, you probably don't have access to do that.
No, it was opened. I'm not sure exactly what the issue is, but if she shares it in the chat, it should achieve the objective of everyone getting to see ahead what those objectives are.
Okay, should we? No, I think it's best we do the demonstration speech before we go into the Kahoots. I wanted to save on time, but we should. May I recommend, Toastmaster Nasha, that you email the information to Madam Moderator and she can share it for you.
May I ask to assist Madam Moderator, Madam Facilitator, is this the standard level 4 for managing?
Yes.
So we can find that and share that shortly.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Madam Facilitator, Kathia?
Yes, hi.
I see DTM Corinne has a raised hand.
DTM Corinne, please, the floor is yours.
I just wanted to make a point that there's a difference between recommending and insisting that someone repeats a speech. And I think sometimes it's the language that we frame it in, because you can't force somebody to repeat the speech. You can probably say, I would suggest that you consider repeating it.
Correct.
But it's up to the person.
Correct. Very, very true. A very good point, Master Corinne. Believe it or not, there are clubs that do that. So just imagine following the legacy program where the order had to be specific. You start with project 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You would be stuck if you can't go past that level if the requirement was for you to redo it. Then you get all kinds of challenges as to how many times can you be asked to redo the same speech. Anyways, that's another point. So very good question. And that's why we must identify, we must acknowledge that it's not a Toastmasters International rule. It can be a stipulation in club regulations. However, it becomes a bit technical because the club then has to add specific points, like how many times must the person be forced to do it over? If they don't do it over, what's gonna happen? Are they gonna stop them from proceeding with the Toastmasters program? What are the mechanisms that are gonna be put in place to Toastmaster continues on their development? I see a hand up, Toastmaster Elise Barnes.
Good afternoon. How are you? Elise Barnes from 6 Communicators Toastmasters Club. Is it a requirement that the evaluator be given a copy of the speech before the evaluation process?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Great. Thanks for that.
You're very welcome. You're very welcome. You want to leave the element of surprise. You want the person to learn about what you're about to say, and you want to understand whether the impact is what the speaker intended. However, reading their speech beforehand, I don't recommend it. It's not recommended for the evaluator because they would have already known what the person is about to speak about. And I believe it will hinder your ability to be objective to how it was delivered if you have that information in advance. Leave the air de mystère, the surprise. It makes it more interesting.
But it is okay to find out from the speaker if there are any specific thing that they would need for the evaluator to look for.
Yes,
in their
it is highly
presentation.
recommended. It is highly recommended that we communicate with the speaker first, find out whether they have any points that they would like the evaluator to look for. Absolutely, absolutely recommended.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Okay,
Madam Facilitator.
Okay.
Shared.
Moderator and facilitator. I have one little scenario before we go to the next part.
Please ask away.
I have heard everyone's point on redoing speech, and I've heard an evaluator recommend to the speaker that they redo the speech, but on the basis that outside of the timing that they made the timing really the objectives of the speech was really not met what was required. And in that said, they gave quite a few recommendations as to how the speaker can improve the next, redoing that speech, but improve it so that they could meet the various recommendation that was outlined that they are supposed to meet, because we all are in this for a learning, as a learning environment. I don't, well, if it's gonna be taken for personal gain and for taking it as advantage, I don't recommend that. But the way I heard that evaluator, it was quite detailed as to what was looking for, what was not really met, the things that you could do to improve that, and the things that you could do or say to make this point be met, make this objective be met. I think that was very good. So in that person redoing the speech, because they spoke to me afterwards, and when I really sat down and went through it, they understood instead of taking it the wrong way, because they thought they're just coming and giving a speech, but didn't really know that I had to meet these and I had to, you know, and all of these. But after sitting down afterwards, going through it to the person, because you really don't want to leave a bad taste in the mouth. Yes. I think that was an effective way of getting the person to redo the speech and just blatantly tell them with less improvement.
Correct. Thank you very much for sharing that point with us. I have a comment about that point. If you provide, let's say, 11 points for improvement and 2 positive points, I think that the person who is receiving it, while you may have not said the words, you did not meet your objectives, gets to understand that they did not achieve the objectives based on your perception. I think it's very important that we balance the number of things we're going to outline in the verbal evaluation in the presence of the audience. That could be done on a one-on-one. If we want to go very detailed, we can go on a one-on-one. And well, I recommend that we go do this on a one-on-one, and follow it up with a written explanation and recommendation. However, I think that limiting the number of things that we think they need to improve on during the evaluation in the presence of the audience could be better gauged, I think, because in the example I gave, where a person gives 2 good points and 11 bad points, it still can leave the speaker very, very demotivated. I don't know, what are your thoughts on that? Does anyone have a feedback on that?
I do see DTM Aniona Jones' hand up, and then I know that we have shared the information for our presenter's speech in the chat. And so after we speak to Aniona, we can move ahead.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you so much.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone.
Good
I'm hoping
afternoon.
that you're hearing.
Yes, loud and clear.
Awesome. I think I'm going to speak just from my own experience, and hopefully there is someone on this platform who gets it. The hardest thing to hear is that the time that you have put into preparing a project resulted in an output that was not where it needed to be.
Yes.
When I just started to speak, at first I started to wonder whether or not I was getting cookie cutter evaluations, and wondered if the evaluations were personal to what I was saying, the content impact. It was gestures and vocal variety and so on. And then I got an evaluation where someone actually personalized what I was saying and how I was delivering it in a way that really connected. And that's when my growth really started. I'm going to call on DTM Karen just because she's here and I have to talk about people in front of their face. DTM Karen evaluated 3 speeches for me And I remember saying to my mentor, do not get Corinne and my VP education to evaluate one more of these speeches. If she's going to tell me one more time to slow it down. You see, I have ADHD. And it's cute when you're 6, but not so cute when you're in your 30s in a professional environment. And I think quickly, and I no longer hear myself, and honestly thought I was slowing down. And she kept on saying to me, slow it down some more, slow it down some more. It was a little annoying to hear, and it was not very easy to hear, but she kept on saying it and coaching me through with the evaluations and journeyed along with me till the day when she said to me, that was good. It hit me where it really mattered. And that was when I got it. So my first point, sometimes when an evaluator journeys with you, it helps because they're able to, in a very intimate way, help you to see the growth beyond just the project and a growth in a skill as a speaker. Number
So
2,
well said.
I got to level 4 and thought, I got this. Then I was told, redo a project. I cried. I cried when it was my birthday, and I thought, oh my God, I was going to complete this level for a birthday gift. Oh no, I did not meet the objectives, and the person sat me down and they were able to outline to me all the amazing elements of a general speech, but the project called for some things and it was supposed to help me to develop something, and I just did not quite meet that. What was beautiful was that the person met with me before delivering the speech and said, okay, what are we going to be focusing on? And talked that through with me. And just the way they kept their video feed on and their general body language and leaning forward as they were listening, I felt as though the person genuinely wanted me to do a really good job and to improve in that area. 2, your presence and your energy, even while you're listening to the speech, can really make a difference to a speaker. 3rd, I became more humble. You see, I'm a boss at work and people tell me what I need to hear because it's convenient. And Toastmasters is where I get truth. It's where persons tell me what I need to hear, not just what is in their best interest for me to hear. And it's keeping me humble. It's reminding me that I'm never quite there yet. So those are just my 3 little cents on evaluation. And hopefully someone on this platform understands my own journey and kind of gets what I'm hoping to say.
I agree with everything you said there, and thank you for sharing that with us. Let's give her a round of applause. That was amazing. Thank you so very much. Evaluation is extremely important, how we do it, when we do it. And as you said, you mentioned an important point is being interested in seeing the person grow is very important. So all of that put together helps us to conduct effective evaluations. But most importantly, it helps the Toastmaster, the member, to develop. Are we ready to show has the evaluation form been shared already?
Yes, it has been shared in the chat, and DM Nasha is ready to go.
Wonderful. I'm not seeing it. However, I hope everyone has received it. Can persons see the evaluation form in the chat? Oh yes, there it is. Wonderful. So we have 2 teams. We are going to start with the presentation. I would like to call on President Nasha to deliver her speech. Take it, President Nasha.
Thank you, DTM Katia. Let me ask you, have you ever just wanted something? You begged, you pleaded, you fought for it. And then, surprise, surprise, got it. When you get something that you put so much passion and emphasis into, you feel as though you've won. You have reached that mountaintop of that plight. But then it hits you. You may have won the battle, but you still have to fight that war. You see, sometimes to win a war, you have to go through loopholes, technicalities, exchanges, negotiations. You have to endure. And that is where I found myself in 2020. The island that I live on is called St. Eustatius. We affectionately call it Statia. The island is populated with 3,000 people. I work for the Department of Culture. I head that department. And in 2020, I was given the task to finally get Emancipation Day recognized. Now, you would think that when slavery was abolished, that day would have been recognized. It wasn't. Then you would think that in 2010, when our Constitution changed, it would have been added to the public holidays that was agreed upon. Unfortunately, that was the one day that was missed. And of all days, Emancipation Day. When I became the head of the department, I knew that the local government had already decided that Emancipation Day, which is July 1st, was going to be an officially recognized day. Unfortunately, what they fail to remember is, while we are an island unto ourselves, we are a public entity anchored in the Netherlands. This simply means that we are a city within Holland, a special municipality within Holland. And whenever we make decisions on the local level, we need to then send it to the kingdom level so that they can discuss it, acknowledge it, and give it the go-ahead. When I inherited this, I am impatient. I decidedly dislike inefficiency. So I immediately called the commissioner, okay, where are we? I got my thing stating that we were only at the decision making that from the local level. I put together a committee. I called the members of the Department of Culture, of course. I also called the protocol officer and some policy workers. We doled out tasks. We made sure that everyone was in line with what was going to happen, and I emphasized strategy. Remember, I have no patience when I take on a task. I want to see it through, but I don't want to wait 10 years to be able to see it through. I knew that I needed to go to the community. I needed the weight of the 3,000 people behind me. I was going to war and I needed my army. We created a survey with all the different public holidays that we currently share, and also what would happen if we were to ask for a new day to be added to that public holiday roster. Let me tell you, when we had to explain to people that, yes, indeed, we have to actually ask mommy when we can celebrate and when we cannot celebrate, they were so shocked because no one ever took the time to explain the constitutional change to the community. Thankfully, though, the community chose.
You are muted. You are muted, Toastmaster Nasha.
It said that the host muted me. Did something go wrong?
Continue from where you were. You're good.
Okay, thank you.
You were
As I was saying, they chose Carnival Monday simply because it was a day, even though it was on our public holiday, we did not necessarily celebrate it. This island is more Christian-like than heaven. So not too many people use Carnival Monday for what it was aimed for. So thankfully, it was very easy for them to see Carnival Monday, just the exchange. The exchange meant that the process would have been fluid. It would have gone by real quickly rather than all the red tape that could be tied up if you requested a brand new day. A new day would have meant that we would have to go 5 to 10 years in the future before we saw the benefits of that. When I was able to present the findings of the survey, my team went into action. The policy writers wrote up potential letters that I requested. My protocol officer came with a whole marketing plan and strategic planning. I, however, wanted to meet with one organization. This organization is
wonderful. Let's begin with the evaluation segment.
And just confirming, the evaluation segment is 3 minutes.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. Each person has 3 minutes to conclude their evaluation. Madam Time, note, it's 3 minutes per person.
Okay. As well as, could we have Madam Evaluator Lilith Wilson moved over to her room?
To the waiting room.
What? What is happening?
Madam Zoom Master?
I'm not hearing. I'm not hearing anything.
Madam Facilitator.
Your mic is muted.
Okay, everyone, we seem to be having a small technical glitch here. Please give us a
Stacy, can you hear me? I know what happened while we weren't hearing DTM Kathy. It looks like we lost connection.
Yes, she's going to rejoin the meeting shortly to see if that resolves the issue.
So in the time being, we're going to ask our Zoom J if he can just share his screen and just allow us to listen to some of his awesome beats while we wait for our presenter to rejoin.
Hi all, can everyone hear me now?
Wonderful. Yes, we are definitely hearing you now.
Excellent. Thank you so much. We are ready to begin, right?
I'm ready.
Awesome. All right, let's start with team 1. Toastmaster Claudia Powell. We can do it too. Please share your findings with us. Toastmaster Claudia Powell, we can do it. Team, we can do it.
Yes, yes, we're going to be sharing the evaluation because I went to my group late. So I will start with the beginning. Nasha, Toastmaster Nasha, we believe it was an excellent speech topic and your eye contact was very effective. We had you had an excellent word choice near the end where you mentioned no surrender, we conquer, and you were very persistent in getting this done. And I'm now going to ask Toastmaster Domain to take over and continue the evaluation.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster. Now, your speech, as great as it was, there are areas that can be worked on, and great speeches can be made even better. So here are a few things that I would ask that we work on to get our speech even better. Firstly, it took some time for you to explain who was involved in terms of getting things moving. You work for the Department of Culture, and you talk about the Central Dialogue Organization. That I would have loved to hear that coming out much sooner in your speech. In fact, I believe that is why the speech eventually ran quite long. As Toastmasters, time is absolutely important to us. So I was hoping that we would have stuck between the 5 to 7 minutes. So we want to be very careful with that. Again, your word choice, excellent. We love the topic of your speech. Having gained an independence celebration, I thought that was phenomenal for anybody to be able to do something like that for the country. Congratulations, very, very well done. A wonderful speech. I would recommend that we redo the speech in order to be able to meet all the qualifications, including that of time, and also listing more of the people who assisted in getting this speech, in getting the project completed. All in all, very well done. We look forward to hearing you again. Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you, Toastmasters Domain Gordon and Toastmaster Claudia Powell. Thank you both. It was untraditional that the evaluation was shared between 2 persons. Thank you so very much. I'd like to call on the second team, Team Expert Evaluators, Leader Sudan Cameron. Could you please take it away?
Thank you. Toastmaster Nasha, I love your opening. The use of a rhetorical question was an excellent technique that grabbed my attention immediately. And it was also quite fitting with the topic of your speech. From the moment you began, you were very comfortable, and I could see that you were very passionate about the mission, and you maintain excellent eye contact. However, I think that your hand gestures were a little overused, so you may want to pay attention to that, to only use them when appropriate. You may also want to pay attention to your timing. Though there was a disruption, based on my estimation, you would have still gone over the time. But what I love about your technique in presenting the speech was that though there was a disruption, when things went back on board, you were comfortable and you went right along. It was as though you were not interrupted. And also, I believe that you met the requirements of the speech. There was a clear opening, a body, and a closure. I understood that the mission was accomplished and you were excited about it and you maintained that passion throughout the end. Well done, Toastmaster Nasha. You did an excellent job. Congratulations on moving on to your next speech.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster Sudan Cameron. Thank you very much. Now we've just heard the evaluation from 2 teams. Let's give a round of applause to team We Can Do It, headed by Claudia Powell and assisted by Toastmaster Domain Gordon, and
That's right.
2 expert evaluators, Sudan Cameron. Let's give them a round of applause, please. All right. It is now time for us to hear the evaluation of our pre-selected evaluator. Let us bring her back into the room. Is Toastmaster Lillian here with us?
Lilith, I'm here. Lilith?
Is that yes?
Yes, Lilith is here.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. The floor is yours.
Good afternoon, Toastmasters all. I crave your understanding because this is my first attempt at such a venture. Fighting for emancipation again. Toastmaster Nasha. I admired your level of confidence. You were quite confident. There was clarity in your speech. We understood your words. You were able to communicate with your audience. And from me, you used appropriate gestures. I do believe, though, that the entire presentation was focused on the second fight. We needed to hear more about what led to your fight. You said emancipation again, fighting for emancipation again, which means that a fight, would have taken place before. I did expect some information on that fight. Overall, your speech has the potential for success, and you have the potential for success as a Toastmaster with that level of confidence. commendations to you, Toastmaster Nasha.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster Lilith Wilson. Thank you so very much. Let's give them all a round of applause, please, everyone. Can you please unmute your microphones and give them a round of applause? Thank you so very much. So we just noticed, we just heard 3 different evaluations. What is important to note is that they all said something different, right? It's an indication that evaluation is subjective because it depends on who is delivering the evaluation, their point of view, their perspective on what the speaker did not do, what they said, how they said it. And we are encouraged to respect and understand everybody's point of view because evaluation is an individual thing. In order to catch up on time, we are going to close, and we're going to do so with a quiz. I hope you were taking notes. I really hope that everyone is ready and excited. I'm going to share the screen right now so that we can conclude with our quiz. Can you see my screen as yet?
Not as yet.
Not as yet. Okay, great. All right, I'm going to type an address in the chat, kahoot.it. You type that in a browser. So whether you're on a device, a telephone, or whether you're on your computer, simply open another page. And when you open the other page, the other browser page, you type in kahoot.it. It's going to take. Can you hear me?
Yes, proceed. We're hearing.
Wonderful. Excellent. So when you type kahoot.it, it takes you to the Kahoot website, and there you will be asked to, oh, wonderful. I see Lolo is on. Excellent. You will be asked to enter the game pin, and it is shown on this screen. It's 1084210. That is 1084210. Please join as many as possible. It's gonna be a more exciting, the more persons that join. We have a few questions.
I can't get to join because you're still sharing.
I'm sharing the Kahoot screen. Is that not what you're seeing?
Yeah, but I can't get onto my browser because it's blocking off. So I can't get to join.
Okay, my apologies for that. All right, we're gonna start in 1 minute. I see we have only 23, 24, 26. We're gonna start in exactly 1 minute.
Oh gosh, wait now.
The countdown
I still
started.
can't get to join. I still can't get to join because the share screen is affecting me from getting to my browser.
The share screen. You are no longer sharing, right? Because I am sharing now. Only one person can share at a time.
Yeah, I'm saying you're sharing, but it's affecting me to getting into my browser at the bottom of my screen, so I will pass on the quiz because I can't have access to it.
Okay, understood. My apologies for that. All right, now it's time to begin. We only have 38 participants. Is everybody ready? Please, everyone.
No, trying to sign in on another device.
No.
Everyone is not ready? Tell us how you're feeling. Are you ready? Do you think you will win? Are you so excited? Let us know how you're feeling.
I'm excited.
And this is also a test question, a test quiz. Are you still having trouble signing in? All right, we see that 15 persons are ready. We will begin.
Question 2. Wait, check question.
Okay, the first question is, An evaluator is a judge on speaking and leadership, is an authority on speaking and leadership, is responsible for providing personal feedback. You will not see the questions on your screen. Therefore, you need to look at the main screen, find the answer, and select the correct color. I should have said that before, my apologies. I'm glad to see that 22 persons responded, 22 and 2, 24.
It has already been question 2 for me. It has ended question 2, so I don't understand.
Yeah, it's at question
Ditto. Correct. The first one was a test question that asked you whether you were ready.
But you didn't even do number 2 as yet, and it finished number 2 for me. I don't know.
No, it's still on the screen. So we're going to see what the results are for question 2.
No, but what she's saying, Katia, is that it gave us time is up because I
yeah,
and I didn't get to answer it either.
It says time up for number 2, and I didn't even hear the question yet.
Okay, we are going to start this over just to make sure that everyone's in tune. So I'm going to give a brief explanation. On the main screen, you will see the questions. On your screen, you will only see shapes with colors. Based on the response you want to select, you will choose the correct shape and color on your screen. I hope that's clear.
Yeah.
Wonderful. We are going to begin. The first question was just a teaser question, so if persons didn't respond, that's fine. It was just
okay,
an
I have to
icebreaker
put in the
question.
pin 1 second to 141930.
Correct. It's a new pin has been issued, and the pin is 2301934. 2301934. Yes. 13, 14, 16. We have Carla Tinkerbell, Rajuki, GT, Corin, Joylove, Nikisha, Camille, Mike. Let's keep them coming. Let's keep them coming. We have 39, 40, 41.
May I ask how many minutes you need for this game, please?
This shouldn't exceed 5 minutes. It should be finished actually, I think, less than 5 minutes.
Okay.
43. Okay, let's begin. Let's begin. Persons can still join while we're on. So let's begin. Evaluate like a boss. This is the warm-up question. We will skip it and start with question 2. Question 2, an evaluator is, you have a multiple choice, a judge on speaking and leadership, an authority on speaking and leadership, is responsible for providing personal feedback. Please make your selection. There are 3 different colors. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right. We have here, Dorcia is leading by 954 points. Moving on to the next question. It is recommended to avoid using the word but before concluding the evaluation, during opening of your evaluation, or after giving praise. Please make your selection. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 1. Here we go. And we see that Sam is taking the lead with a total of 1,763 points. Let's move to the next question. The role of the evaluator is to provide honest reaction constructively, ensure that the speaker applies the recommendations provided, provide specific recommendations for improvement, encourage and motivate the speaker. It's a multiple choice, multiple selection. All right. Moving on to next, and let's see who is. We see that Carla is catching up with a total of 3,471 points. She is closely followed by Toastmaster Rajuki. Let's move to the next question. Choose the best alternatives to the word but. However, although, notwithstanding, despite. Choose the best alternative to the word but. However, although, despite, notwithstanding. Make your choice, Toastmasters. We see here that Carol Ann has taken the lead with a total of 3,611 points. Let's move to the next question. It is prohibited to deliver speeches about policy or politics in Toastmasters. Is this true or false, Toastmasters? It is prohibited to deliver speeches about politics in Toastmasters. Let's see how we did. Toastmaster Carol Ann is keeping the lead with 4,508 points. Let's see who else can catch up. This is a puzzle, and it is important. The idea is to put it in the correct order. So you have summarize and structure feedback, prepare, be attentive and listen to understand the speaker, have a note-taking strategy. Please choose the order from 1 to 4, which should go in the, please select which should go in the proper order. So you can slide the responses in the correct order. Just slide them in the right order, and that should do it. Drag them, instead of slide, drag them to the right order. Summarize and structure feedback, prepare, be attentive and listen to understand, have a note-taking strategy. What is the correct order? You have more seconds to complete this one because it requires a little more manipulation on the screen. 5 seconds, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's see how we did. Let's see how we did. Ooh, Carol Ann is keeping the lead. Carol Ann is keeping the lead, followed by Lolo. Let's see what the next question says. It's a multi-select, it's a quiz. When giving your feedback, you must use positive language, personalize your feedback, provide all your findings verbally in the presence of the audience. It's a multi-select question. Please give your responses. Thank you. Let's see how we did. All right. We see here in third place, GT. Second place, Lolo. And the winning position goes to Toastmaster Carol Ann. Thank you very much. Congratulations to you. Please put your email address in the chat for your reward. Thank you, Toastmasters, for participating. Thank you, Division B, for having me. I will now conclude and stop the sharing. Madam Moderator, back to you.
Thank you so much for such an awesome presentation. We have learned so much about evaluation. And as you can see from the comments and questions that were asked, it is absolutely a very key strategy and skill that we all need to continue developing and getting better at. I want to thank you for being with us this afternoon and giving of your expertise, giving of your time to share these gems with us. I see a comment in the chat. Excellent. I learned a lot from this session, and that is indeed what the aim was. We thank you so much for your time and your talent, and we want to present this certificate to you as a token of our appreciation for what you have done here this evening. Thank you so much, DTM Kathia. Guys, it is now time for us to conclude this wonderful session, and I hand back over to our Madam Division Director, Melinda Lloyd.
Everyone, can we just unmute and give a round of applause for our moderator and our presenter who led us so gracefully through a very informative session. Unmute everyone and let's give her a round of applause.
Madam Division Director, I'm not sure if it's only me. I'm not hearing you quite clearly. Is everyone hearing?
No, I didn't hear her.
Claire.
It looks as if the gremlins jumped from distinguished Toastmaster Kathia's computer straight to yours.
Is this any better? No?
That's much better. Yes, that's wonderful.
Oh my gosh, you have to have backup audios. Wow. Thank you so much, Madam Moderator. I was asking everyone to quickly unmute and give a round of applause to our presenter and also our moderator. Thank you so very much. So team, we do acknowledge that we went a little bit over time, so we're going to do away with the division update. I can definitely write to all the members of our division leadership team and also all the persons that are on with follow-ups. We have shared in the chat a quick link to our drive that has a lot of material on both mentorship as well as evaluation, some of which have been shared by both our presenters. We also have the presentation from Distinguished Toastmaster Karen, and we'll follow up if Distinguished Toastmaster Kathia will facilitate to share her presentation. Please note also that we're going to review the recording and then see if there are any adjustments to be made. And once we have the okay from our trainers, we will go ahead and post it on our YouTube platform and share the link for your review. If you have any questions, any suggestions, anything at all, I would ask that you just put them in the chat, or you can always email us so we can take note. At this time, I'll ask our Zoom master to present our overall evaluation